One just like any other generic hero, our protagonist was ordered to save this dying world by a goddess. But wait, this isn't your typical Isekai reincarnation story. This is about returning back to his original world. He gave his all to the cause, getting heavily injured in the process at a young age. When guys his age are chilling on beaches every weekend, he is the one with dozens of arrows piercing his body. He is completely exhausted and his body won't move. As his vision blurs, Kang Hanbit falls to the ground and dies. 31. Regressions, 17 possessions, and 7 reincarnations. Most of this videos. Viewers probably hate doing math, so let me help. This is the 55th time Kang Hanbit has died, another cycle wasted, and his soul goes back to the goddess. Honestly, no wonder bro died 55 times just to get some spiritual action. She asks if they should try reincarnation this time, but Hanbit has had enough. He refuses to be an errand boy for this expressionless deity anymore. After all, she is the one who kidnapped Hanbit from his original world and threw him into another realm, tasking him with saving Erfurt. Like our legend with a massive fan club, Subaru Natsuki, Hanbit has died many agonizing deaths over and over again. Unlike Subaru, he did not get any lap naps or cute maids, so his motivation vanished, and he still has no clue how to save Erfurt. He tells this expressionless, nonchalant baddie to save the world herself. Unfortunately, doing that would destroy everything, so she still needs a puppet like him. Hanbit argues that his mental health is deteriorating, but the goddess already confirmed all 3 of his brain cells are working just fine. And it is true, she completely heals his body after every single cycle. However, she cannot erase his traumatizing memories. Ignoring his complaints, she proceeds. Hanbit throws some insults at her until she finally admits that he did an amazing job, giving him every right to return to his original world. Maybe the real Erfurt was the journey he had all along. Without answering any more questions, Hanbit is kicked out of the spiritual realm. The goddess warns him she will still keep an eye on him, hinting that this is not over yet. 18 months have passed since Hanbit returned to his ordinary world. At first, his mind was completely fried, but memories of his normal life have slowly started coming back. The goddess kidnapped him right before his military enlistment, and he got discharged just yesterday. He even had to serve in the military 5 times during those 55 cycles. He has seen all the different stages, from giant Vikings to picking cotton to becoming the calculators to modern rainbow people. Right now, Hanbit has just landed an internship. Out of all his lives, this world easily has the worst economy. He hopes to survive this internship and land a real, full-time job. Just then, he receives a message from his only friend in the past 18 months. Owing him big time, Hanbit agrees to meet up. The friend also reveals that he has a special present for him. At the cafe, Hanbit meets Wu, who acts like a happy dog who never has to work for his meals. Happy dog who just got back from the bushes with the neighbor's female dog. This guy is an army senior, despite being 5 years younger than Hanbit. Hanbit still sees him as a friend, so he skips the small talk and asks for the gift. Right away, Yui Wu insists they shouldn't jump to the main event just yet. But seeing his close friend Hanbit get up to leave without his gift, he acts fast. Yui Wu pulls out a level 2 RP membership card for the hit game he has been playing lately. This card will help him get the VR gear to play the record project game at home. It costs 5 million, but Yui Wu is a generous friend. Hanbit would gladly act like his dog, not just his friend, if Yui Wu keeps up this generosity. Jokes aside, Hanbit reveals he starts work tomorrow. Corporate slavery won't leave him any time for gaming. Yui Wu already knows Hanbit's #1 goal is making cash to help his family's financial situation. Naturally, Hanbit declines the expensive gift so he can focus on his real goal, but money isn't everything. Like a great buddy, Yui rubs Hanbit's dry romantic life in his face, teasing that his love life is as colorful as a Popeye's checkout line. Hanbit quickly fires back. Yui Wu reveals that RP is way bigger than Cyberpunk. Playing it the right way can actually earn them hundreds of millions. Hanbit sits back, apologizing for gently plucking a few silky smooth hair strands from Yui Wu's gorgeous bald head and politely begs for details on making 100 million. RP was created by Team Zero, whose founder promised to hand over all rights of RP to the first player to beat the game. He knows there are better ways to grab public attention than mere leaks. Now, the value of In-game gold has skyrocketed, and there are more players in the game than influencers crying in their cars over a failed brand deal. It's insane. Top players are even selling strategy guides for insane prices. Hanbit really appreciates Yui Wu going to such lengths for him. Like a true buddy, he agrees. Solely for the happiness it brings his friend, making hundreds of millions is just a small motivation, like 99.998%. They head straight to the special event zone. The massive crowd proves the game's massive popularity. By RP, we mean record project, not rejected proposals. Just in case anyone felt insecure, since the game is tough, Yui Wu buys a beginner's guide written by Adventurer A. It is an incredibly popular. That helped almost every newbie. Hanbit opens the guide and feels as if his mind was blown wide open. The contents absolutely shock him. Just then he remembers the goddess promising she would find him again soon. The main goal of this virtual reality game, the final quest of Record Project, is to find her. For 18 months, Hanbit couldn't help thinking about what she really meant by looking forward to seeing him in his original world. Why did she let him go? Before completing her goal, now he knows she hasn't set him free. Yui Wu wonders why Hanbit looks like he just saw a glitch in the Matrix. Hanbit snaps back to reality and asks Yui Wu about this Team Zero. Turns out there is very little info on the current CEO Michael Welton's youngest daughter, who is famously gorgeous. Everything about her and the developers team remains top secret. Hanbit wonders if it is somehow connected to the goddess. If making a game was possible, why did he have to go through the sickening reality of taking a life? Why did he have to experience all the pain and agony of dying every single time? Why did he ever felt the despair of getting caught in an endless loop? He refuses to go back to that living hell, but maybe this game will bring him some closure. He is supposed to get the gear within 2 hours, so he heads back home. Yui Wu tells him to get in touch the moment his account is set up. Next, the story takes a massive time jump of 2 hours. The 501 console has arrived, and just as you would expect after blowing that much cash, it looks every bit as flashy as it should. It also includes some complimentary B and D gear. Hanbit locks his door since his mom won't be home for a while. He straps on that B and D gear, which turn out to be wrist and ankle trackers for fluid movement in the game. Just like his military days, poor Hanbit gets zero choice during character creation. He figures it must be a glitch and tries to reboot the entire system, but it keeps saying character creation failed. The console demands Hanbit finish this process before letting him log out. After a few more attempts, the system locates an old avatar and automatically loads it for him. He is absolutely positive that this interference is the work of that expressionless, cold-hearted goddess. Hanbit enters the virtual world, spawning right into the port city of Edund. He looks exactly like he did in his final regression, making him positive that the goddess forcefully interfered. He wonders if she expects him to start over, because honestly, he would rather crawl through glass than do that again. Suddenly, a message pops up from Loper, sending him a friend request. Hanbit guesses this must be Yang Wu. After putting serious strain on his last remaining brain cells, Hanbit finally finds the ad friend button and connects with Loper. We will just call him Loper from now on, instead of Yang Wu, mostly because I am far too lazy to keep saying it. Loper still has that ridiculously happy puppy dog face, like his annoying ex's pregnancy test just came back negative. Loper wonders why Hanbit went ahead and made his avatar look exactly like his real self. Since he cannot explain the sadist goddess's actions, he dodges the question and Loper drops it. After all, there is a much bigger issue to address here. Hanbit's actual in-game username is Black Dragon. Even Hanbit dies of cringe over the goddess's naming taste. What is she, a Clash Royale player who is Loki cornier than some cringy internet meme? Black Dragon tells this giggling puppy who thinks life is nothing but sunshine and rainbows to change his name. Unfortunately for him, usernames are permanently locked to their biometric data. Black Dragon is a bit of a mouthful. Should we shorten it to Black D? Nah, Hanbit is fine. Our guy is already highly annoyed, and having this younger kid laugh at him completely pushes him over the edge. Time for a physical reality check. Loper then tells Hanbit to check his notifications, since he sent over an invite to join stream. He only commands a tiny audience for now, but he still streams regularly, using the built-in streaming features in RP, and by RP I mean Record Project, not Rice People. He genuinely loves streaming because it lets him Spam the chat with, "Is this tough? Chat, am I cooked? Or is this real?" And other highly unhinged questions like that. He is exactly the type of person who, even after ending the stream and cuddling up with his waifu, Pillow complains to chat about performance issues. Anyway, Loper will handle the actual broadcast so Hanbit can focus entirely on playing. They plan to split the earnings 50-50. But if Hanbit carries the show and they blow up, he gets a larger cut of the streaming. That actually doesn't sound so bad to Hanbit now, so he agrees to join just to please his friend. A 50-50 profit split is only a tiny part of his motivation, like maybe 900%. The moment he joins the stream, the chat immediately starts roasting this new edgelord streamer. They wonder if Hanbit is just going through a cringe phase where he hates the whole world and thinks he is Ayanokoji or something. Honestly, it would make a lot of sense if he used a cool fantasy name, but instead, it is just a corny dragon my balls username. Loper tells Hanbit to stay calm and not let these chat comments get to him. After all, he basically invited this trolling the second he named himself Black Dragon. Moving on, Loper suggests that Hanbit check out what skills he has unlocked. Normally, the game system scans a player to recommend 3 of their best fit skills. Hanbit wonders if the powerful techniques from his 55 regressions will show up here. Suddenly, a massive wave of system windows pops up, completely freezing both of them in shock. Finding even one hidden skill is incredibly rare, though not entirely unheard of. But getting this many is impossible, like hearing a smart comment from a goldfish. Hanbit immediately recognizes every single one of them from his 55 previous lives. He plans to use these abilities as a stepping stone to grow stronger. That way, he can uncover how this game differs from the world that tortured him. He wants to expose the goddess's true motives, starting with fire attribute magic. Naturally, the chat starts roasting him for choosing a magic class. They call him a total nerd, but proficiency is actually the most vital stat here. Boosting your magic mastery is as hard as skipping dessert at a free buffet. But once you finally max out that skill, you are rewarded with a star. The catch is you cannot even see your progress bar before earning that star. This reminds Hanbit that throughout his 55 past lives, magic was always the toughest. He always needed a master to guide him. He asks Loper if there are teachers here. But Loper explains that players can only learn new skills through quest reward books. The non-playable characters in this starter area are way too low level to teach anyone. Still, shout out to them for not trying to sell online courses to passing players. No sketchy ads promising to make you millions of gold coins in 9 seconds. All for the low price of just $1,000 a week and your sanity. Hanbit agrees that skill books are much better than having a brutal, abusive teacher. Getting constantly bullied does not sound fun, unless you are into that kind of thing. Loper points out that they can buy fire magic directly from a merchant named Julio. But Hanbit immediately despises this guy, calling him a notorious ugly con artist. Right on cue, a viewer named Julio in the chat gets pretty offended by this. To smooth things over, Loper mentions they just received their very first stream donation. Hanbit's face immediately lights up after finding out they made 5,001. He asks Loper if such a small amount even matters to a rich guy like him. It's pocket change to Loper, but business is business. For Hanbit, it's huge. If Loper and 10,001 were drowning, he would save the cash first. Talk about true friendship. Loper then suggests they head over to Julio's shop. But Hanbit prefers to track down the Fire Master, asking Loper if he knows Atsubal. Loper warns him that he is giving the chat another reason to troll him. She is a notorious quest character who gets arrested for fraud and disappears forever. Innumerable players have complained on the forums, demanding that she be removed entirely. Let's be real, the devs made an Atsubal route because they were desperate, but nothing happened. Hanbit is still determined to meet Atsubal first, but after Loper and chat convince him, he decides to interrogate Julio first to get some real answers. He wants answers, but nobody actually believes Hanbit when he calls Julio a fraud. So a bet is made, 10,000 to Hanbit if he is right, otherwise. Hanbit has to perform a juicy belly dance before Loper can lead the way. Hanbit suggests taking a shortcut to Julio's shop. Loper wonders how Hanbit even knows the route on his very first playthrough. Hanbit simply calls it a gut feeling. When they finally arrive, Hanbit is proven right about him being an ugly slob, greedy face rubbing his hands together like a total goblin, that is. Julio, seeing that disgusting face, brings back terrible memories of when Hanbit fell victim to his scam. The NPCs in this game are incredibly important and can even block progress. Suddenly, Hanbit's expression turns terrifyingly dark. He is as furious as a doctor who just found the guy who invented the stethoscope. He storms into the shop, grabs the goblin by his collar, and curses him for still being alive. The chat is stunned, never expecting Hanbit to be this serious about Julio. The greasy scammer tries to play it cool, asking if they are there for the spell book. He squirms away to proceed with the quest. He claims the last spell book just sold out, but can recommend another shop if Hanbit does a quick favor. He says that a robbery occurred in his store and blames it on his rival merchant, Atsubal. A new quest pops up: arrest the general merchant Atsubal in exchange for a recommendation letter for the spell book. The chat is already waiting eagerly, with tissues and lotion for Hanbit to walk out and perform his juicy dance. But Hanbit knows Julio is lying through his teeth, especially because Atsubal is his actual magic mentor and benefactor from his training days. During his very first run, he was framed and thrown into prison. Julio had faked the evidence and bribed the guards to ruin them both. Now Loper confirms that if Atsubal gets locked up, she is gone for good. Julio gloats, thinking he finally has Hanbit right where he wants him. But instead, Hanbit starts wrecking the place like an angry father on the weekend. After completely tearing the shop apart, he uncovers the exact money pouch Julio claimed was stolen. A new quest triggers: apprehend the real scammer. Julio, and just like that, we see that Hanbit was actually right all along. The guy with the sketchy mustache really is a fraud. Before Julio can say another word, Hanbit brutally introduces the fat-nosed liar to the bottom of his boot. Julio goes down cold, leaving Hanbit with that nasty feeling of stepping in dog poop. Black Dragon just unlocked a quest that no player has ever completed before. Suddenly, the guards storm in as a cutscene plays, showing the weeping, pathetic merchant being dragged away to prison. At least with his hideous face, he can drop the soap in his cell without any worries of anyone sneaking up on him. Hanbit finally got rid of Julio, though things went differently this time. In his 55 previous runs, he had to fight the crooked guards just to hand Julio over to someone honest. Now, the quest is cleared. A new quest awaits, leaving Loper totally amazed by Hanbit avoiding that merchant's cheap scam. Hanbit now needs a solid cover story to explain how he easily spotted Julio's tricks. He claims to love fantasy novels. He lies that he read an identical plot in an old, out-of-print book. So he took a gamble. Remarkably, Mr. Happy Dog actually believes this ridiculous excuse. After all, Hanbit did read plenty of fantasy books around Loper back in the military. Keeping their bet, the anonymous viewer donates $10,000 to the stream. Since Loper is great at interacting with the chat, Hanbit lets him host. He focuses on his own job, playing the main character as they head to Atabel's shop. They walk over, chatting about how NPCs completely vanish from the map once imprisoned. Hanbit is secretly glad she will finally get some real respect. Having such a key character labeled a petty criminal was just unfair. To him, Adel was an incredible mentor who was always sincere in her work. She was a deeply caring teacher who promised to get him out of jail. No matter what, she was the only person who truly believed he was innocent. Tragically, her shop was burned to the ground while she was still inside. She was a beautiful yet painful memory, but now he can finally see her again. The teacher he respects so deeply is standing right in front of him. He greets her and asks to learn magic, though she has no reason to accept. Taking a random stranger as an apprentice makes no sense, but Hanbit is prepared. Meanwhile, a viewer named Mr. Eldon is already begging to marry her in the chat. Before Hanbit can even speak, Atsubal looks at him with a serious expression. She wants to know if he is Black Dragon, the one who exposed Julio. She knew that scammer would cause trouble eventually, since he was absolute trash. She sincerely thanks Hanbit for saving her from an incredibly ugly situation. The two of them quickly bond over their shared hatred for that greedy lowlife. With that out of the way, they return to the magic book he wanted. Before she can decline, Hanbit reveals he knows she is searching for a cure. He mentions that the specific items left on her desk gave it all away. Atsubal bites her lip, growing anxious, and immediately demands to know more. She asks how much he knows about medicine, and he claims to know plenty. To test him, she asks for the name of the disease causing blue pupils. Hanbit has no idea what this blue-eye disease is actually called. This disappoints Atable, who has been tricked by too many fake experts. They wasted her money, and she refuses to let anyone crush her hopes again. Can you imagine being exploited your entire life, only to be framed and killed? She truly is a tragic character. Hanbit might not know the exact name, but he knows the rest of the symptoms, and more importantly, the cure. This instantly sparks hope in her again, and she begs Hanbit for help. He promises to bring her the cure. Suddenly, a new quest window pops up. The rewards are 2,000 gold and her powerful fireball spellbook. Honestly, given how sweet she is, most players would do this for free. But a guaranteed epic spellbook is insane. Loper and the chat are stunned. Since Hanbit is still clueless about this game, Loper breaks down the ranking system. He explains that rank is the tier, while grade shows the item's actual rarity. This scale runs from common to mythic. Let's see if he actually pulls this off. A rare spellbook and a mythical boss, quite the combo, to avoid any future confusion. The same spellbook can actually have any rank. Naturally, higher ranks mean stronger abilities. This feature did not exist in Hanbit's past life, so he needs to test this epic tier spellbook himself to understand how the new ranking system works. Loper asks Hanbit about their next destination, but just as the guy is about to answer, his avatar suddenly begins to fade away. It looks like a heart attack. So he warns Loper that his mom is back. Hanbit rushes toward the front door, gasping for breath, and tells his mother he was busy with something important. Teenage boy home alone, sweating and out of breath, taking forever to open the door. Anyone would think he was caught doing something private, so the natural response for an Asian mother is to beat him black and blue. Hanbit quickly points to his expensive virtual reality gear, explaining his friend gifted it to him. He was just testing out the new game. Even his mom knows about this massive trending phenomenon. This record game, or whatever it is called, she warns him against playing too much. So Hanbit reassures her his internship starts tomorrow. He will only play during his off hours. His mother had no idea he actually secured the internship position. Naturally, her response is to smack him anyway for not telling her sooner. Hanbit tries to act clever by blocking one of her lightning-fast slaps, but she instantly reminds him of the household hierarchy with a painful countermove. Despite fighting through 55 past lives, his mother is still the strongest boss he has ever encountered. She tells Hanbit to relax and not overwork himself. But he is determined to land a job right after finishing his final semester. Since his first day at Songdo Company starts tomorrow, he needs to wake up early. She warns him not to skip breakfast, pointing out he skipped it today. Hanbit tries to bluff, but absolutely nothing gets past his mother's sharp eyes. Once he is safely back in his room, he remembers he was midstream. He considers logging back on, but since it is already past 11 p.m., he decides to sleep early. Meanwhile, Loper is getting grilled by the chat with endless questions about Hanbit's unique quests. Meanwhile, a certain forum post is gaining massive traction. It exposes the hidden quest discovered by Black Dragon. They even shared a screenshot of that legendary epic tier fireball spellbook. However, most viewers dismiss the whole thing as a fabricated publicity stunt. Even Yi Kim, an employee working at the game's official department, does not buy the hype. He sees these cheap marketing tricks every day. His doubts are only made worse when he looks at the players. Cringe username. Seriously, who would trust a gamer named Black Dragon? Since he has some free time, he decides to verify this quest himself. Back on the stream, Loper is getting completely roasted by his viewers. They suspect Black Dragon is just a kid who had to log off because his mom came home. While he tries to defend him, he notices the viewer count skyrocketing by the second. Then he finally spots the viral post written about them on the forums. Loper desperately prays for Hanbit to log back in until a direct message arrives saying he went to bed early for his first day of work. Hanbit knew exactly what kind of chaotic spot Loper was in, so he left a parting gift, a message revealing how to solve Adable's unique quest. Obtained from bomb slimes, he will share more if anyone clears it first. Before him, the next morning, Kang Hanbit arrives at his office looking a bit too sharp to be a simple errand boy or punching bag intern. The office is in total chaos. Every employee is busy pretending to work while doing nothing. Look busy act. That is when one coworker spots Hanbit and tells Minyu to bring him to the meeting room. Meet Minyu, a guy who pulls endless sleepless Nights so his boss can live like a premium client in his cozy private lounge. While Hanbit cleans up the whiteboard in the meeting room, another guy who is nailing the act of someone pulling an all-nighter while clutching his coffee cup walks right in. Naturally, he is a team leader, then Minyu introduces Hanbit as the new intern he mentioned a few days back. Hanbit bows and promises to do his best. The team leader coldly replies that he just needs to follow orders. He is quickly dismissed so the team leader can pretend to hold a serious meeting while dumping his entire workload straight onto Minyu. Hanbit can already see how bright this company's future is, yet he still feels it beats the absolute hell he survived because of that crazy boss. Carefree girl, back in the game, Hanbit apologizes to Loper for not checking his messages sooner. Loper is not mad at all, like a cheerful golden retriever. He is bubbling with joy. He is thrilled because their stream's viewer count has officially topped 5,000. They are finally ready to start Audible's quest. Hanbit asks his chat if anyone succeeded with the hints he shared last night. Turns out nobody did. Some even claim that Hanbit tricked them, but he counters that their skill issue is not his fault. Naturally, he is going to show off his tricks. They head straight to the main gate. Loper suspects Hanbit is actually a pro instead of a newbie, but he laughs it off, blaming his logic on fantasy novels. In this open world, anything is possible thanks to the high level of freedom. Of course, that does not mean players can literally build islands. Arriving at the gate, they spot a massive crowd of gamers already gathered there. These are the people with enough time to read the online forum post and come check out the rumors for themselves. Even the famous Vanguard is here. For now, we only know that their party has 4 guys who we can skip and 1 gorgeous girl we definitely should not ignore. Loper whispers to Hanbit that the secret quest has spread further than they expected. Beyond what they expected, Hanbit finally asks what this Vanguard group actually is. It turns out the top 10,000 players are called the Vanguard, ranked by their level, skill, mastery, and progress. Out of 300 million gamers, only those 10,000 get ranked. 500 reside in Korea, meaning there are at least 450 Kims in there. Even among those ranked gamers, many skip magic to prioritize pure level growth. Hanbit spots a Vanguard member holding the golden bird bow, an extremely rare weapon crafted by legendary craftsmen. Yet even these elite rankers failed to clear this quest. Also, most high-ranking players are backed by major corporations. In fact, large companies fund these players to dominate the leaderboards, even without owning the game. The virtual market generates way too much cash to ignore. Right then, a girl approaches Hanbit, asking if he is the legendary player named Black Dragon. She's waiting for him to finish the quest and show them how it is done. The guy with the rooster hairstyle acts incredibly smug and tells the girl that he knew Black Dragon was lying. Meanwhile, the girl wants him to have some patience until Hanbit gives it a shot. Honestly, he is right to be skeptical because the last time he trusted this lady, they got robbed so bad they were left with just their underwear, while the poor guy gets his hair brutally pulled by that angry woman. Hanbit and Loper head to the sea. Loper wonders why they are traveling away from the bomb slimes. That is when Hanbit reveals that they need a fishing rod first. The stream chat is wondering what that has to do with those explosive slimes. Fortunately, Loper is not confused by a lack of brain cells. All he cares about is that Cuckoo just donated 1001. Meanwhile, Hanbit is acting completely smug because of how clueless everyone is right now. Even when Loper questions him, Hanbit keeps acting mysterious. Now, Loper is getting worried. If this turns out to be a massive prank, he will have to end his stream. The chat is also teasing poor Loper for whatever wild scheme Hanbit is trying to pull off here. Since Loper is just so easy to bully, Hanbit promises him he is not lying. They absolutely need a fishing rod, so he asks Loper to lend him 70,000 gold. Naturally, everyone is doubting this money grubber, from Hume Hanbit to Joeing Hanbit. It is not like Loper has any other choice, so he hands over the money. Crowds are starting to gather, and Hanbit can easily see the stress on Loper's face after losing 70,000 gold. They finally arrive at their destination, Eldrock. The fisherman, an NPC who is hard of hearing, Hanbit approaches him to buy his fishing rod right away. The clever old man ignores him until Hanbit offers 50,000 gold. Suddenly, the old man locks in, demanding 100,000, but Hanbit says he only has 60,000. The old man refuses, so Hanbit starts bidding even Lower, after enduring some colorful insults and abuse from the old-timer Hanbit, successfully scams him for 60,000. Having a clever stream audience means the chat has already done the math, borrowed 70, spent 60, black. Dragon pocketed 10,000 gold from Loper. Armed with the fishing rod, they arrive in the forest to hunt down some bomb slimes. Meanwhile, Loper says that streaming really suits Hanbit and he could be an awesome content creator. If that is too hard, he can just roleplay as some character. Roleplaying inside roleplaying was not on the chat's bucket list. Back to the bomb slimes though, they are extremely sensitive. Even the slightest touch can trigger a massive explosion and splash fluid everywhere. Wait, let's rephrase that. Basically, the bomb slimes explode if they are touched by absolutely anything, whether it is a rock or something far weirder, plus it is not like they drop any loot after exploding, so the chat calls them GOAT, meaning the greatest of all trash. Fortunately, Hanbit finds a slime at a perfect height. Difference, he carefully adjusts the sensitivity of the fishing rod, just as he is about to start. Loper warns him that people are following them, thanks to a helpful viewer for watching their backs. Turns out, even Hanbit noticed several suspicious groups tailing them all the way from town. He asks Loper to open the stream settings so he can adjust things and handle the situation. He apologizes to the viewers for briefly turning off his screen to take care of some over 18 business. With those annoying stalkers, Loper has always loved fantasy stories. Unfortunately, nobody in his military unit shared his hobby. If only the guy liked BL novels. He would just pass the time rereading his favorite book until a new recruit finally joined. Fortunately, this new recruit was also a massive fan of fantasy novels. He had already read Loper's favorite series and even pointed out hidden details. Loper had completely missed those details. Eventually, Loper finished his service and got busy with life, but seeing a poster for RP instantly made him think of Hanbit. He knew Hanbit was the exact partner he wanted. Right now, only Loper is sharing his screen while Hanbit pretends to hunt a few slimes in the background. Loper purposely blocks the view of what Hanbit is doing with a new quest. Appearing, it is obvious that other players will follow them to watch. Among those onlookers, someone is bound to get impatient and make a move since they cannot see Hanbit's screen anymore. Time for action. The reason Hanbit bought this hook is that bomb slimes do not react to its sharp tip, plus he can deploy spikes from the tip with a simple button press, giving him total control over the exact timing of the explosion. Without hesitation, Hanbit begins chucking slimes at these impatient stream snipers. Now that the pests are dealt with, he goes straight back to his main mission. Right away, he spots a uniquely colored slime. That is the exact target Hanbit was searching for and wanted to catch. Hanbit notes that color is the absolute best way to tell them apart. He nabs the slime and puts it in his bag. Chad is totally baffled. Why did the slime not explode inside the bag? Turns out, if an entire group of bomb slimes is completely wiped out, there is a high chance that one survivor transforms into a dud slime. Dud slimes are basically Cristiano Ronaldo. They have lost their natural explosiveness over time, but just like Ronaldo can still serve as a role model for young strikers, these duds are highly useful too. Sell at Tublo. Loper worries they're sharing too much information, but Hanbit knows things are not that simple. Just because you know where the red light district is does not mean you will lose your virginity. There is still a massive ED problem. Meanwhile, a guy named Kim Ya from that gold farm company has barely avoided getting blasted to smithereens by Hanbit. At least his main objective is completed. He is now completely sure that Hanbit is no ordinary gamer. He believes Hanbit is backed by a massive gaming corporation he could never compete with. But Jahan remains confused as to why the Black Dragon hangs out with a small-time streamer. Perhaps this attention-seeking happy dog is a distraction to keep everyone away from Hanbit. For now, he focuses on clearing this utility quest so he can easily meet his quota for this month. Unsurprisingly, for overworked corporate slave, Jahan totally failed. Back at the shop, she spots the medicine and makes the exact same face as the delivery doctor when Yui Ugly was born. There is no doubt that this potion's smell and quality rival Indian street food. This must be as disgusting as our reincarnated as a toilet video. Adel sighs in disappointment and turns around to compensate Hanbit with cash for handling Julio. This medicine stuff is just not for her. Hanbit asks if she can actually afford to miss this massive opportunity. The bait works like a charm as Atsable prepares to turn The black dragon into a harmless black dog. Seizing this opportunity, Hanbit shoves his. He shoves the foul concoction down Atsabel's throat, forcing her to swallow. Of course, it is just normal medicine. Loper breaks into a heavy sweat because he never expected his friend to act like a 1950s husband. Adel runs straight to the restroom to throw up. After a few minutes, she returns, but now Hanbit is the one coughing up blood. Still, he does not seem to care. Half because Atsabel is finally cured, and half because he is actually into it. He asks if a seed-like thing came out, since that was the real cause of her sickness. Adel is confused, but Hanbit insists that the seed was the root cause. He then reveals that he knows Adel has been sick as well, quietly suffering in silence all this time. She hid it to keep her mom from worrying, and to stop Julio from stealing her shop under some absurd claim from 3,000 years ago. The parasitic seed she swallowed grows in the far south. She probably caught it from ingredients imported from there. As it happens, only a bomb slime can detach the seed from her stomach. Without its explosive power, that slime is merely harmless mucus and a toxin that triggers violent vomiting. It was never a true illness, just a rare parasitic infection. He then hands over the nasty plate with the foul medicine to cure her mother from that nasty seed. Even though this is just a game, Hanbit notices that Adel hasn't changed. She is still a sweet, selfless girl putting others before herself. Despite her fierce temper, she always protected him. From the bottom of his heart, Hanbit truly wants Adel to find absolute happiness. The quest cutscene triggers where Adel feeds her mother the medicine, and after throwing it up, she is cured. She is now healthy enough to give Adel a sibling. Adel has tears of joy in her eyes, her radiant smile completely melting the live chat. One viewer immediately claims her as his wife. Talk about shooting for the moon. She thanks Hanbit, and as a token of her deep gratitude, she hands over the rare spell book he wanted. His companion is absolutely thrilled to see his buddy secure such a thick baddie, sorry rare book. Dahlberg, right as they prepare to leave, Adel stops them to offer even more rewards, handing over a bag stuffed with gold. Loper is blown away by this beautiful angel's sheer generosity. The game system window pops up to award rewards for clearing the first quest. The payout is doubled, granting 2 bonus stat points and 200 experience points. Hanbit's level increases by 5, giving him 5 more stat points. Even the Fireball spellbook gets upgraded from heroic to unique rank. Hanbit is shocked to receive so many rewards. His only real goal was making Adel smile. But a low-key concern rises regarding the notification first clear. He fears the game is rigged in his favor. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a protagonist who is fully aware of plot armor. In his case, that plot armor simply means being a loyal dog to a gorgeous girl. Still, there is no need to worry, because first clear appears for everyone. Loper is still shocked that Hanbit scored a unique spellbook in their very first quest. He begs Hanbit to share some wisdom with the viewers, like when Master Oogway said if she says no to her mother, you must go. Meanwhile, the live chat is losing its mind like a thirsty Scott deprived of ale for 50 seconds. Loper cannot even read the messages, that is how fast they. She also hands him a piece of paper, a letter of introduction to the local blacksmith. This special voucher will secure Hanbit any weapon of his choice. She also noticed how this quirky duo isn't carrying any weapons. To make matters worse, their gear is completely ruined from the bomb slime expedition. Hanbit quickly clarifies that the foul stench on them is from the slimes, not their actual bodies, the exact same smell from the slime core he shoved right into Adabel's mouth, wearing a beautiful smile. She bids them farewell. With that done, our clueless duo searches for another quest. RP is a massive open world, letting players roam wherever they please. Still, they must tread carefully to avoid wandering into high-level zones by mistake. Speaking of freedom, RP offers endless options for customizing your in-game avatar. Loper finally remembers to ask Hanbit why he modeled his character after his real self. Hanbit can't exactly mention the goddess's cruel prank, so he plays his ultimate card against dense people. Total silence. Loper quickly steers the conversation to the absolute freedom of choosing your gender. Those who have visited Thailand will get the joke. Others should stay cautious. Sometimes a cake comes with a candle. While his yapping companion blathers on, Hanbit focuses on planning their next destination. Suddenly, a sharp notification chime grabs his attention. It is a beautiful sound, the sound of cash, as a viewer named Mr. Respect Tests just donated 50,000 to see more, prompting the chat to back the wealthy simp. Money starts pouring in. Their live viewer count even surges past 8,000. They've already earned 500,000 won from a single quest. Hanbit is stunned, but what is truly shocking is watching this much shake his hips for the stream. Hanbit envisions serious wealth. He can finally pay back his mother, if cash continues to flow. A painful memory still haunts him, a lost future that never was. That goddess pulled the exact same cruel stunt the Witch of Greed pulled on Subaru. Witness an unthinkable present, a missing person poster with Hanbit's face on it. His mother ruined her own life trying to find him. He was her entire world from now on. He intends to make her truly happy. Meanwhile, Loper mentions that the chat is practically begging him to open the spellbook. Hanbit complies and the book dissolves into a system prompt revealing a unique grade fireball skill. Right about now, Hanbit feels like he is basically using cheat codes to breeze through the game. Considering how many grueling cycles it took to earn this skill before, Loper chimes in, describing the hilarious feeling of a spell loading directly into your brain. Hanbit feels absolutely nothing at first, until a massive fireball erupts from his fist. It is a spell devastating enough to incinerate his foes. The results exceed all of Hanbit's expectations. Suddenly, a pair of menacing eyes manifest right before him. He instantly recognizes those cold, beautiful eyes, gorgeous on the outside, but hideous on the inside. He suddenly unlocks a title, Recorder of 55 times. A massive hand, the goddess's hand, reaches down as if trying to imprison him. All over again, in that fleeting second, Hanbit paralyses with pure terror. It is like qualifying for the World Cup, only to face Messi in your very first match. Thanks to this title, his experience gain will skyrocket. He also unlocks a mysterious new perk associated with spirits. Hanbit shivers, realizing that gorgeous, toxic goddess has no intention of letting him live his life in peace. This newly unlocked title basically proves she is still watching him like Mark Zuckerberg. Just like those popular Get Ready With Me videos, Loper is slightly worried for Hanbit, but since they would not understand even if he explained, Hanbit decides to keep quiet. He covers it up by claiming that casting his very first spell took a heavy toll on him. He wants to compare this unique grade skill to a standard one, so he asks Loper to show what the low-tier spells beneath his status can do. Loper hesitates at first, but eventually shows off a fireball spell that can barely light up cigarette. Even a firefly has more fire in its butt. Hanbit tries to console him that his basic tier skill is still pretty useful and impressive. Instead of feeling down, Loper should focus on how many asthmatic little ant babies he can defeat with such a mighty power. Loper explains that magic is just too grindy. Hanbit is acting like one of those genius prodigies in a high school anime who never has to struggle for anything. Hanbit believes that rank is not the only important thing. Mastery has to be equally, if not more crucial. Our resident edgelord then explains to Loper the basics of casting a spell. It is not just a button click, but a mathematical equation you have to solve. In that formula, one must calculate incantations and mana control. Loper's brain has already completely shut down. After hearing about math, Hanbit does not plan on focusing on magic right now, since its best selling point is simple convenience. While Hanbit acts like some wise teacher, Loper reminds him it has not even been 48 hours since he started the game. His advice right now is about as impactful as Loper's fireball skill. The chat gives our boy some well-deserved reality check. They want to watch him play, not hear him yap. They think Black Dragon has a massive ego. He thinks he is in Blue Lock or something. Hanbit absolutely loses it at these jobless viewers who mock him for trying to act so wise and philosophical. Hanbit decides to ignore the chat, claiming he will not share any more quest secrets. The only thing they will get from Black Dragon now is the but a donor drops 77,777 yen, and everyone bows down to their king. It is not like Hanbit is swallowing his anger for cash. He genuinely feels no anger now that the money rolls in. He is then asked about his next move, so Hanbit reveals he already has a location in mind. Hanbit soon arrives at a strange hut. Loper expected him to chase the main quest, but his priority right now is getting more skills. They enter the hut only to find a jacked guy with more bruises on his arms than a love-struck teenager. The owner of this place, which is way too creepy for our cheerful companion, is the archery instructor, Hunter Lycana. Hanbit reveals his goal To master archery, Lycana tries to intimidate Hanbit by asking if he has the stomach for it. Lycana's muscles are massive, but not as big as the ego of our edgy hero. The quest demands a passing score from Lycana in exchange for an archery manual and 500 gold. Standing outside, Hanbit now needs to score 200 points in 30 shots. The bullseye is worth 10 points. Loper wants him to put stat points into agility before starting the test. But if there is one thing big about our boy, it is his confidence. Hanbit takes his first shot and misses like some desperate guy commenting on pretty girls' posts. Still, he might have missed this shot, but he is not about to lose this game. He channels his inner LeBron James of archery and finally hits the board. Unfortunately, it is nowhere near the grand spot. Loper's mouth hangs wide open in surprise, eagerly anticipating what comes next. He wants more. The next shot lands dead center, immediately followed by another. The remaining 26 attempts all strike the exact same spot in the middle. Honda passes the test with a whopping 287 points. Scoring this high with just RP level 2 gear is completely impossible. It is like One Piece fans not review bombing rival shows just because their own is mid. Just then, the scene shifts to another gorgeous thief tossing a handful of coins. She is totally bored of easy pickpocketing and craves a real, challenging opponent. Wearing Moss's scarf, she spots two clueless guys wandering into her shady valley. They are practically begging to be robbed. Loper is thrilled to hold the rewards. Even Hanbit thinks Loper is acting a little too excited for his age. But Loper is just overjoyed to witness Hanbit's incredible skills. He is no time traveler, but he can easily picture their future. It is filled with wealth, fame, and plenty of lonely fans. Nobody thought Hanbit would be good with his bow and arrow. Nobody except Loper, that is, who gambled on this very chance and won big. Next, they are heading to the Sword Master to learn swordsmanship, but first he needs the swiftness skill. Hanbit already knows where to find it, while Loper is completely in the dark. Hanbit is impossible to read, unlike that other friend of ours who wished for time-stopping powers and untraceable DNA, exposing his questionable motives. Now our two traveling buddies finally arrive in the alley right in front of the gorgeous thief Rhea. Most players completely avoid getting the swiftness skill, simply because her quest is as difficult as maintaining eye contact with her. Hanbit walks right up and says he wants to learn the swift skill. She appreciates the honesty, the direct approach, and the bravery. But what she loves more than anything is that heavy bag of gold coins. In a flash, she snatches the bag, claiming it is just a teaching fee. Surprisingly, losing his entire gold stash does not even faze Hanbit. He just wants lessons from the master. Deep down, he was already squeezed dry. By her before, squeezed of his money, obviously. Get your minds out of the gutter. Over those 55 cycles, he lost more money to her than most unlucky students investing in crypto. After drawing a few weird charts like rising wedge or a peeing dog, Rhea decides to share her true feelings. She tells him that from the very first moment they met, she absolutely despised him. Then she kicks off the lesson with a simple task: catch her. A quest window pops up, instructing him to find her within the time limit. Success rewards him with the swiftness skill book, but he already knows from the chat comments that catching her is going to be impossible. The only option is blowing 25 grand and trying to catch her 5 times. With a 3-hour timer per try, that is 15 hours of waiting around. They can't accept other quests or even log out during this time, or else. The timer resets. With absolutely zero brain cells left, he reaches a conclusion. Their only actual option is catching her. He knows there is no other way. He cannot catch her alone, but he knows the perfect person for this job. He heads straight to Mommy Adubel's shop. Turns out Rhea and Adubel are sisters, a secret nobody knew about. This, but Hanbit boldly lies, claiming it is common street knowledge that Adubel's father was practically minting gold. After spinning this lie and convincing her, Hanbit goes and lies to Loper, spinning a story about some graffiti that dropped the hint. Chad even checks the stream replay to verify if he is telling the truth, but Hanbit cryptically replies that eyes blinded by greed will never find the truth. He mocks his jobless viewers, claiming they would have spotted the hint if they had not thrown a sweet angel like Adubel into prison. He then tags along with Adubel to track down Rhea. Meanwhile, that little thief is casually playing with a stray cat. Honestly, the feline does not care about anyone as long as its human servants keep feeding it. Rhea is convinced that those two Fools have completely abandoned the search by now. Even if they are still trying, they will never track down her hiding spot. Suddenly, Adubul arrives, bringing along her big sister. And the massive fool she robbed in the first place, Rhea instantly panics, reminding Hanbit of how petty and pathetic it is to drag her sibling into a minor theft case, but Hanbit simply points out his shared past with her. Sister Rhea might be incredibly fast, but no level of agility can protect a younger sibling. From the absolute fury of an older sister, Rhea gets a massive scolding about how stealing makes her no better than that local criminal Julio. Seriously, what makes her any different if she keeps this up? Adubul gives her one final warning to leave this criminal life behind. Once Rhea runs off, Adubul pulls out the rare haste skill book to fulfill her promise, even though she hates Hanbit's sleazy methods to finish the quest. The item turns out to be a valuable unique rank book. She leaves and the golden dog finally catches up. He is completely wiped out, but Hanbit could not care less. He is not missing this perfect chance to gloat about the high-tier skill book he acquired using his underhanded tricks. Next up, it is time to master some swordsmanship. Hanbit still is not quite accustomed to these single-use skill books. Loper then mentions to Hanbit that the chat is dying to know why he unlocked this speed buff. Hanbit points out that the answer is extremely simple. If those two morons ever competed to see who was the bigger fool, Hanbit could use haste to easily outrun both Loper and common sense. Loper is just relieved that, even with that incredible skill, he only lost by 101 seconds. This means intellect is trying to catch Loper, but he is too fast. Also, it is finally Loper's moment to shine as Hanbit's senior in sword training. Finally, a mission that even a puppy can handle, a rank 2 swordsman with premium status. Loper is a part-time streamer and full-time punching bag for his viewers, constantly fighting with them for never showing support. Hanbit starts contemplating how other top players like Yeon Woo are following the exact same path. It is all due to that standard guidebook, the exact manual, that completely lacked any details on Adubul's quest. In that standard route, Adubul would simply be arrested and vanish forever. Following that, Rhea would lock herself away in her home, ensuring nobody could ever locate her. Yet there are plenty of players enjoying this world on their own terms, making the freedom incredible. It was impossible to know the right path, but Hanbit clearing Adubul's quest first could be a major hint that he was actually on the right track. Hint or not, Hanbit decided he would beat RP his own way. He did not know what that goddess was planning, but one thing was certain: he was done being her toy. Sure, some guys would pay to be controlled and mocked by her, but not him. He was done being a pushover. As our foolish duo walked toward the sword master, Hanbit wondered why the guy lived so far away. Loper explained that the man was a hermit swordsman by design. Eventually, they finally reached their destination, encountering a terrifying NPC who radiated a dark, menacing energy like Ross when someone at the office stole his legendary sandwich. Loper did not want to get destroyed on a live stream, so he kept his distance. The swordsman Balder, showing absolutely no signs of balding, stepped forward and asked Hanbit to keep swinging a wooden training sword until told to stop, if true sword skills were what Hanbit wanted. He had to ask with action. No talking was necessary, with no need to kiss up to anyone like a brown-nosing corporate intern. This quest was split into 2 parts. Stage 1 involved basic swinging, while Stage 2 was a duel. Loper asked his stream chat how long they took to beat it. Turns out most players needed over 2 hours, remaining terrified of Balder. Apparently, a viral clip showed the master treating an arrogant player like a cheap body pillow from Two, despite only going at it once. Balder basically broke him beyond any return policy. To escape that kind of brutal beating, every single player kept their distance. Nobody expected an NPC to humiliate a real player like that. The AI uprising felt closer than ever. Now, the viewers were curious to see how long it would take Black Dragon to finish. Currently, the record was 28 minutes. Even highly successful businessmen sometimes miss out on a massive golden opportunity, but a certain group of highly disciplined professionals never let a single chance slip away. That elite squad is known as Gamblers. Sword God set a bounty of 200,000 if Hanbit cleared it under 25 minutes, otherwise Loper had to jump off a cliff. Live on stream. Kitchen Knife added 20,000, and Swordmaster threw in another 70,000. The pot kept growing like the body count of a college girl saying, "I want to live my college." fullest until it reached 800,000. Hanbit was not thrilled about everything. Becoming a wild gamble on stream, but money is money. Hanbit already knew that the trick to swinging this wooden sword was not about speed or the raw count. Balder never expected a total novice to show master-level technique anyway. Most players assumed swords were the easiest weapon to master. All these Kirito fanboys believed wielding a blade was as simple as holding a simple toy, but to a master like Balder, who lived with the blade his whole life, that attitude was deeply insulting. What he truly wanted from Phase 1 was absolute respect. Hanbit gripped the hilt with care, demonstrating a deep reverence for the weapon alongside absolute determination in his eyes. His intuition proved completely right. Balder stopped him immediately, telling him that he had seen enough before a single swing was made. Stage 1 was clear. Phase 2 was officially unlocked, heralded by a sudden system notification pop-up. The Swordmaster tells Hanbit to defeat Balder in a duel, but the goblins just lost a massive sum of cash, yet 99% of gamblers quit right before hitting it big. It takes extreme dedication and consistency to find success in this line of work, so the Swordmaster donates another 10,000 and doubles down. Now Hanbit must block the wooden sword twice or the entire quest is void. He adds another 100,000, promising to double the reward if Hanbit blocks 4 times. But if they fail, both Hanbit and Loper must go bungee jumping in real life. The difficulty of this challenge scales with the player's level, so this won't be easy for Hanbit at all. Meanwhile, Loper absolutely hates this gambling mess. The guy has nothing to gain and everything to lose. His only mistake was being the one who brought the black dragon here. Now Loper wants out of this crazy wager, claiming he is terrified of heights, but the black dragon stops him. Wearing a greedy and shady expression, he assures Loper they won't actually have to jump. Still, it is hard for Loper to believe him, seeing how deeply the money has corrupted his once innocent friend. With everything to lose, Loper decides to put his faith in him. He truly believes in Hanbit. He knows his buddy will never let him down, deeply valuing their strong bond. That is the sole reason he agreed to this bet. It definitely has nothing to do with the 1 million added to the quest by the Swordmaster. The total pool is now 1.8 million. Motivated by pure greed, Hanbit eagerly steps onto the arena to secure that payday. Balder charges straight at Hanbit and nearly blows him away. It's only strike 1, but Loper and the chat are completely stunned. They have never seen Balder attack anyone with such sheer ferocity. This must be what the system meant by scaling the difficulty to the player, somehow using sheer willpower and the power of friendship, and definitely not the 1.8 million. Hanbit blocks the strike. Balder lunges again and Hanbit meets him as their weapons clash violently. Unlike those 55 cycles, Hanbit feels a heavy, delayed sensation in his movements. That was reality. This is just a game. Luckily, he learned haste to compensate. Balder, who had remained silent until now, finally speaks up. He can tell Hanbit is lost in thought. He mockingly asks if this intense situation is too unexpected or if he's just struggling to maintain his composure. Little does Balder know he is up against the absolute biggest edgelord in the game. Hanbit actively tries to bait Balder, and despite his cool act, gets triggered far too easily. Hanbit keeps egging him on until he faces the real consequences of messing around. He just narrowly escaped death by a hair's breadth. Meanwhile, the chat wonders why Balder is going so hard on him, as if Hanbit just asked Balder's daughter out. It was all going according to plan. He is making feel anxious, not just with words, but by holding his ground much better than ever expected. Then lunges forward with a piercing strike, but predicting the move, Hanbit deflects it using the flat side of his wooden sword. Still, his taunts don't change the fact that he is barely keeping up with those furious strikes. Finally, the trap is set and ready. Hanbit grins as he watches Balder charge up a devastating final strike. Having blocked 3 hits with zero intent to counter, he decides to match this heavy blow in a the swords clash violently. His blade shatters into pieces, but that really does not matter because he successfully blocked the attack 4 times. Now, Loper loses out on 1.8 million because Hanbit lies on the ground peacefully, while chat argues over why. But you and I know Hanbit orchestrated this entire situation. He knew the duel would end once his blade shattered, so he was only holding out until he survived those 4 strikes. Now, he asks Loper about his reward. Loper says he will calculate the cut and settle up once. The livestream ends, but Hanbit cannot help but feel a bit anxious about. Loper reassures him that there is absolutely nothing to worry about. But in reality, they only know each other from the military. Suddenly, Loper gets curious and wants to know what Hanbit did before his service. Honestly, it is as if he got ice-skate and trained for 55 lifetimes. Hanbit cannot reveal the truth, so he claims he was just a regular student studying and playing games and stuff, but it is already too late because Chad is busy guessing his old profession. Some think he was a master chef since he is cooking up a storm in this game. Others suspect he was a samurai with those insane sword skills, or maybe even a hitman. Right in the middle of this, a viewer asks if all the quest cash goes straight to Black Dragon. Before Hanbit can answer, Loper announces that this 1.8 million is entirely his. Hanbit reminds him of their 50-50 split, but Loper argues he did not contribute anything. Here, since Hanbit won using his own skills, Loper insists it is only right for Hanbit to take the whole pot. Hanbit is just glad he can skip the bungee jumping penalty now. At this point, chat finally realizes why we have been calling him an idiot. The defeated swordmaster donates another 100,000 because he wants to exit with some style, though his tears are practically visible. He says he is only paying up to witness more of Black Dragon's legendary swordsmanship. Now that the fight is over, Balder is posing by a tree like a complete model. Hanbit can easily tell how furious the guy is, despite his silence. He looks ready to explode like a bomb slime. Balder is likely blaming himself for getting completely outplayed by a mere rookie, and not just any rookie, an idiot who calls himself Black Dragon. He approaches Balder, pointing out that the quest is done. Balder snaps at him to wait there, stomping off in frustration to grab the rewards. Honestly, Hanbit feels a little bad for him, but it is not like Balder can change anything, though the next challenger who appears might face a rough time once Hanbit learns this new skill book. He now possesses 4 active skills. The quest completion window pops up, and look at that. He receives 3,000 gold, a unique tier skill book, and 5 bonus stat points. The perks of being the goddess's favorite, scoring 4 uniques in a row, is like meeting 4 normal, mature fans of Classroom of the Elite in a row. Pretty much impossible, right? Let's move on before anyone starts getting too cocky about it. Arrogant Sword donates 10,000 for some private tutoring. Soon, others are lining up to learn from the master. Hanbit wants no part of this right now, so he distracts the chat with a cute puppy. LRA Pup offers himself up as their teacher, but choosing him over Hanbit is like a priest settling for an adult. Hanbit then approaches Balder and tells him there had to be something else left to give. Balder just wanted to hand this edgelord a brutal beating, but his duties as an NPC forced him to hold back. He reveals that his master recently relocated to Edund, and then he hands Hanbit a damp cloth he prepared the night before, telling him to show it to his master. The fabric bears a distinct sword emblem. With this token in hand, his master will at least listen to Hanbit. He hints that the man is where the winds gather. Hanbit then tells Loper to wrap up the stream and head toward the city. Naturally, other players immediately try to follow Hanbit's lead, lining up to challenge Balder, desperate to score that same unique spellbook. Little do they know this pushed Balder right to the edge of crashing out. Loper asks if Balder's master is their next destination, but Hanbit reveals that their actual stop is his own room. He has to work tomorrow, so he needs some rest to face another grueling day of corporate slavery. They will meet at the same hour tomorrow. Loper begs him to log on earlier, but Hanbit declines and logs out. Covered in sweat from the intense gaming session, Hanbit heads for a quick shower before going to bed. Right then, a text arrives from Loper, saying that since he is turning in, he wants to settle their payment first. Moments later, Hanbit receives a bank notification confirming that 3 million has been deposited into his account. His balance skyrocketed to 3.1 million from a measly 100,000. Hanbit freezes, completely stunned, as if GTA 6 just got released with a 10-hour workday. He actually made this much. Just imagine what he could earn if he put in more hours and shed some layers. He would never need to work that dead-end job again. Yet, doubt slowly creeps back as he faces reality. He is back to his actual life. It is not like he enjoys living this overworked, underpaid, and utterly exhausting corporate slave life, but he is still not ready to fully commit to the streaming world. He would rather keep gaming as a hobby, even though he worries about Yan Wu and Loper, who both look out for him in so many ways. Deep down, Hanbit wishes his donations would explode like a bomb slime, but landing a stable job is a top priority for any traditional Asian mother. As for Loper, he is not about to reject this money just because it comes from a world that once traumatized him. The next morning, Hanbit is rudely awakened by his mother, who demonstrates another top 3 desire of an Asian mom screaming at her children. First off, Hanbit has slept in and is late. Second, she immediately demands answers about the money he sent her. It turns out he transferred the entire 3 million directly to his mother's account. Hakim would be proud. Never keep assets in your own name or the leeches will grab them. She knows he has been up to something late at night, and now he is running behind. Her concerns are valid. When Hanbit fails to answer instantly, the interrogation escalates to the next level. His mother immediately begins beating the absolute life out of Hanbit. He desperately tries to clarify that the cash is completely legitimate. He did not commit crimes or offer shady services to secure this sum. That leaves her with only one logical conclusion. His mother assumes he has become a successful gambler. Hanbit immediately corrects her, saying she could not be more wrong. He reminds her of the guy with the cheerful, optimistic face, the one where life is always sunshine and rainbows. That guy gave him a gift to play the game together. They were streaming, and those unemployed guys turned out to be insanely stacked. He promises her he would never do anything illegal, except maybe skipping his Crunchyroll subscription, since that is a moral issue. Mom heads out, saying they will talk once she returns from work. Hanbit thinks his mother does not trust him, but she reassures him that she believes in him. She knows he would never do anything illegal, but she worries he might be pushing himself a bit too hard. As she leaves, Hanbit quietly whispers that this is nothing. He would never let her carry the debt alone. He will do his best, or even go beyond, so his mom can finally relax. She deserves it after working so hard. Plus, Mom seems to be seriously underestimating him. He literally survived 55 regressions, possessions, and reincarnations in another world. Every time, he had to claw his way up from nothing while denied the sweet, eternal rest that one dreams of after giving their all. Little corporate grind and streaming is nothing compared to that, at least that is what Hanbit thought, but he forgot he is Gen Z, not built for this toxic corporate culture. What do you mean you cannot finish 10 days of work in 1 hour? These soft Gen Z employees cannot even sacrifice their sleep, health, food, and family to work 23 hours a day for minimum wage. Do these Gen Z workers not realize how hard it is for their CEO to not go on a vacation every 2 weeks? Where is the sense of responsibility? Hanbit is getting ripped apart by this boomer for no reason. Maybe he found out the woman he wanted to leave his wife for was actually just an AI account. Someone's reality, by the way. This other guy, with zero life left in his eyes from years of corporate slavery, hands Hanbit today's massive stack of work. Everything is neatly organized and compiled so that even Downey would understand it. Naturally, this boomer did not get it, prompting the insult session. He throws his card on the table and orders Hanbit to get him coffee. When Hanbit asks what kind of coffee he wants, it makes the team leader even angrier. Lee Minyu was supposed to teach the new intern that everyone in this office only drinks iced Americanos. If Hanbit protests, Lee Minyu, the only nice guy here, will be on the receiving end of it. Hanbit leaves with heavy steps. By the time he returns, the manager is screaming at Lee Minyu, who is just standing there taking it like he is completely used to this daily abuse. Finally, Minyu speaks up and tells this foul-mouthed jerk that the task he is assigning is impossible. With his current workload, this pink-shirted excuse of a human throws the papers at Minyu, snapping that it is not his place to choose his assignments. Signed, Hanbit quickly steps in with the coffee, trying to end the bizarre insult session right there. As he helps Minyu pick up the scattered papers, he notices the manager glaring at him, clearly seeing through the attempt to save Minyu. They return to their desks, and Hanbit sees how exhausted Minyu really is. Those are the eyes of someone bound to make the news for cracking under the pressure. He quietly apologizes to Hanbit for showing him this ugly side of corporate life. Hanbit assures him it is nothing. Maybe the boss is just angry, since he caught the man he wanted to sleep with in bed with his wife. That is not the only reason he is apologizing. That mishap from an expired condom saddled Minyu with a task that will take up way too much of his time, so he can no longer watch over Hanbit, but while picking up some paperwork. Hanbit notices that the project is about RP. Minyu knows he has to play it himself to truly understand the mechanics behind it. Hanbit happily volunteers to help him out with this. Later that day, Hanbit meets up with Loper. This state of being unemployed could only mean two things. Either he is a gamer or a gooner. For Loper, it is definitely the former. They head to a local cafe where Loper learns what a real job does to an innocent guy. Hanbit thinks that even if he retires and spends his entire life cursing his team lead, it would still not be enough for that absolute bastard. He then asks Loper why he called him out. In response, Loper reveals the recruitment messages he received from companies asking them to join. Even a gaming giant like Yuanhua Gaming offered a position with a salary of 100 million per year. Now is the time to plan their future, so Loper wants to talk about which companies they should shortlist. However, Hanbit might be clueless, but he is not too blind to see the schemes behind Loper's lies. Loper tries to play it cool, but Hanbit straight up asks if Loper actually wants him to join a massive corporation. Loper still refuses to confess. Knowledge is power, but as Cersei Lannister famously said, power is power. So Hanbit resorts to physical force to extract the truth. Turns out Loper knows Hanbit is struggling with cash and would never accept direct handouts, so he wanted him to at least land a high-paying job. He thinks that the offer of 100 million is incredible. Hanbit agrees, but reminds Loper that he is the one who dragged him into RP, so he wants to hear Loper's own plans. Loper admits that RP is too complex for him, and playing alone was just more exhausting than fun. He would much rather watch Hanbit play than play himself. Hanbit, on the other hand, is the one who truly shines in RP. He is already loving it and wants to see Hanbit unfold this epic story by his side. Loper wants to share that amazing experience with everyone. That is why Loper wants to establish a multi-channel network centered around Hanbit, acting like a guild that merges reality with the game. Hanbit knows about this dream because Loper has always talked about it, even back during their military service. Loper is incredibly shocked to find out that Hanbit actually remembered those details, especially for a guy with only 100 megabytes of brain storage. Truly shocking, but back to business. Loper reveals that their broadcasting recorder recently got a new video upload feature, and the ad revenue is much bigger than expected. The best part is that the Black Dragon is currently the absolute hottest topic on there. Even the platform is promoting their videos to get more players into RP. The number of people wanting to join them will skyrocket. Loper then asks Hanbit what he thinks of the plan. Hanbit reminds him that he was just advising him to find a steady job, but has now done a complete 180-degree flip. On the bright side, Loper explains that Hanbit will not just be an employee but a co-CEO who gets to host his own individual live streams. With Loper gone, Hanbit spots a cute waitress and raises his voice, bragging about being co-CEO. While Brocker wants some hugs, Loper is the sole reason he even plays RP, though deep down, he suspects this is his final shot at finding Orord. Doing so might finally explain the truth behind his 55 cycles of pure hell. Right then, Loper's phone buzzes with yet another offer from creators trying to partner with Hanbit. Fame sure is a heavy burden. Loper seems to fully understand how exhausting the spotlight can be. However, this is no ordinary text. Judging by Loper's sudden panic, it's either from a massive corporation or maybe an angry husband. Unfortunately, the call goes unanswered. Hanbit gets curious after seeing his friend's tense reaction and asks what's wrong. Loper reminds him of those high-ranking players they spotted back in Edent. Hanbit immediately recalls the archer with the golden bow. It turns out they work for a massive German corporation named Rashton. Worse yet, some new intel shows that rewards for that Atsubable quest decrease on a strict first-come, first-served basis. Knowing they're trying to completely monopolize this quest and hoard the best loot, the bomb slimes suddenly vanished from their regular spawning spots. Now, a rumor is spreading fast that Hanbit actually conspired with Rashton to pull this off. Hanbit finally sees the harsh reality of being famous. Angry players are already blasting Rashton and Black Dragon, especially this guy with a ridiculous broom haircut. His girlfriend steps up and tells her loud boyfriend to shut his mouth. At least he secured a rare spell if he Had been any slower, he would have ended up with a common book. Meanwhile, a clever player points out that a first come, first served system is only fair because why would developers endlessly hand out unique spellbooks? She made the smart move to rush and finish her quest, especially since those slimes are completely gone now. Since her loud partner won't stop whining, she finally resorts to player killing threats. She believes they should wait and watch. Surely Black Dragon will stream an explanation if he spotted Rashton's official statement. Meanwhile, Hanbit is planning just that. He asks Loper for more details on Rashton, and Loper explains that the guild's worth depends on the strength of their players. The Ranger only has a 9,000 power stat, which is low for rankers, but being a ranker is still a massive deal. Suddenly, a brilliant plan hits Hanbit. He tells Loper they should delay today's stream. Later on that very same afternoon, he combs through the game guide and locates his exact target. Logging in, he runs straight to the cavern located exactly where he remembered it from his hellish trial, just as he figured. The bomb slimes are packed inside. There could only be one explanation for this, and it isn't some 75% off sale. He spots a level 7 slime king that has the rare skill to draw in nearby slimes and absorb them to grow in size. Still, it's not like this monster is running some viral online campaign to gather this massive crowd so fast. There must be an underlying reason. Searching the area, Hanbit finally spots a monster lure device bearing Rashton's own emblem. It is a single-use item that players can only get from a northern dungeon. They track down the Slime King and place the device right above him to supercharge his aura and create this entire mess. Now, and just like that, the mystery of the missing slimes is finally solved. Hanbit uses a flashy fireball skill to take down the king with maximum dramatic effect. This epic move is basically his application to get UFO table to animate his story. Defeating this boss boosts his stats like crazy and even rewards him with the Bomb Slime Adversary title. On top of that, he clears the Elite Monster Suppression Challenge. Even Hanbit realizes the system is being way too generous right now. Meanwhile, a fresh video is trending hard on the forum. It is actually a leaked screen recording of Hanbit clearing the entire cave. Loper uploaded it anonymously, choosing to only show the initial part where all the slimes can be seen crowded around their king. But they kept the part where Hanbit zoomed in on Rachen's dropped item. Thanks to this short clip, Rashton's reputation is absolutely ruined. Now everyone is mocking Ration with the same memes as the One Punch Man Season 3 team. This cave was dug out by a miner named Gentrober, an NPC in the guidebook. Later, the Bomb Slime King stole his home and left the poor miner incredibly frustrated. While players were still wondering where the monsters went, Hanbit searched for Gentrober's name in his book. From there, it was easy to pinpoint the boss. Curiously, even though Gentrober is listed, the guidebook didn't mention a single thing about the secret cave he had dug. Sure, hiding some details makes sense, but let's ask ourselves, how on earth does this mysterious adventurer know so much about this world? Despite containing tons of useful data, some of the information is super vague. Other parts are flat-out lies. It feels like Adventurer A is purposefully leading players down the wrong path. Naturally, Hanbit is getting curious about this author's true identity. Meanwhile, Loper is busy lecturing Hanbit on how skills and magic work. Apparently, the secret to mastering magic is high proficiency. In fact, you need high proficiency to unlock the next rank of any skill, but magic is notoriously hard when it comes to leveling up. Because of this, most players give up on spellcasting completely and choose other skill paths. Yet this blank-faced guy with a brain smaller than Dealby somehow reached 100% proficiency in a single day. Hanbit can only nervously laugh. A desperate Loper begs him to admit this is all a joke. Hanbit tries to calm him down, saying his magic is only rank 1, but even reaching that rank usually takes an entire month. Loper is not buying these lies anymore. He demands to see Hanbit's status window so he can check the reality for himself. Sadly, this only breaks Loper's brain even further. Opening that screen is like going into your lie in April, actually expecting a happy rom-com. It turns out Hanbit has rank 1 stars in all 4 of his skills. This has to be a major glitch. Poor Loper cannot comprehend these main character privileges. Seriously though, Hanbit tells him to keep this crazy proficiency a secret from his stream. Sure, revealing it would pull in way more viewers and boost donations. But for now, he wants to tease them and show his friend something fun instead. Fast forward to Loper and Hanbit arriving at Sybil's shop midstream. The chat is already asking what took them so long. Curiously, a whole crowd of Ration's guys is just standing outside the store. To finish the quest, Loper apologizes to his stream, explaining they needed to investigate all the rumors floating around lately. He then clarifies that they have zero connection to Ration. After all, if they were working together, why would they share this information with everyone? The explanation actually makes sense. Most veteran supporters believe him, but others still have their doubts, so they are keeping a neutral stance for now. They won't worry for long, since they plan to show proof soon, before Black Dragon goes seeking Boulder's master. He needs to handle something else first. Perhaps he just wanted to recharge his soul with Adabel's bright smile. Meanwhile, Hanbit asks her if Lee ran off again. Adabel sighs that the little beast is too hard to manage. Hanbit tells her not to worry, fully confident they will soon be living together. This brings a warm smile to Atsabel's face as she asks what brings Hanbit by today. He replies that he is there to learn his next spell. Atsebish Bill is absolutely delighted to hear that, and with a bright smile, she blinds half of his stream, seeing that he actually met the proficiency. The chat goes completely wild. Atsibilis hands over the second spell book, and immediately Quest appears to learn the second magic spell from Atsubil, a hero-ranked skill. Unlocking another rare ranked skill is amazing, but it is not quite as rare as a unique ranked skill. Hanbit has simply raised everyone's expectations too high. He looks back to ensure the guys from Ration are watching, then opens the book to learn the skill. He claims the rewards and ranks up, unlocking the fire burst attack. Hanbit has once again claimed the first come, first served rewards. This time the Rashton guys witnessed it firsthand. Naturally, they are going to swarm the shop next. Atsabvin suggests Hanbit visit the Magic Research Institute in the city of Ifrit if he ever finds himself stuck. Hanbit steps outside only to find a group of Rashton members waiting. Even the Golden Bow guy is standing there trying and failing to project an aura. Take off the hood, man, you are not him. Walking right through this crowd of NPCs, Hanbit rage baits the rank guy to relax his tense, constipated face, dropping a controversial statement before walking away. Now Loper and Hanbit sit outside the shop, watching the greedy players get their hands on the spellbook. Loper is growing a bit worried with how things are looking, fearing Ration might hog all the good skills. He wonders what Hanbit actually wanted to show him. Hanbit turns it back on him, asking if he knows the real difference between them and those clowns. Meanwhile, the golden boy with the bow and flashy overcoat tells everyone to open their books. All at once, Hanbit stands up, eager to witness the best part of the show. On the count of 3, they all open their books and instantly burst into flames. Absolute panic erupts, and nobody seems to have any clue what just happened. To make matters worse, they have angered Adibel. She kicks them out before they burn her shop to the ground. Hanbit and Loper applaud the spectacular fire show. The rewards have already changed, though nobody has learned it yet. The prize value is already dropping. The Golden Bow guy asks how many players have finished the quest by now, only for some random player to reply that no one has. He then approaches Hanbit with an angry scowl. It looks like Hanbit's bait worked. He tells Hanbit they need to talk. The big shot from Ration wants a word. Skipping the trashy introductions, he demands to know why Hanbit was the only one who succeeded. Calling Hanbit a mere newbie, he gets met with an equally sharp comeback. Hanbit asks why a rookie would know anything, since veterans should explain these things. Annoyed by this, the veteran grows more frustrated and snaps back in anger. He claims that 50 other players failed the quest, but Hanbit somehow succeeded. Now they will miss out on a hero-rank spellbook because rewards dropped. This self-proclaimed big shot tries to guilt-trip Hanbit into feeling responsible. He claims Hanbit stole an innocent player's chance at a hero spellbook. Keeping a serious face, Hanbit replies that their failure was no coincidence. He then explains that ranking up depends entirely on skill proficiency. Those guys tried to advance without maxing their stats, causing spectacular failure. That makes perfect sense, but Mr. Golden Bow is too proud to learn from a newbie. With veins popping out on his face, he screams at Hanbit in anger. He insists that the exact same leveling rules should apply to Hanbit as well. Hanbit just gives him a blank look, stating he obviously maxed his skills out. The Ranger gets the exact same feeling as when you hear a 30-year-old friend brag about a new girlfriend at work. but he works at an all-male school. Hanbit calmly offers to show his screen. Verbal claim is clearly not enough to satisfy the skeptical leader. Since he already humiliated Regression, there is no need to hide his stats. He mocks the ranger for leading a major guild's advanced team so poorly, especially since his main source of game information was just Hanbit's stream. When Hanbit reveals his stat screen, the ranger absolutely refuses to believe it. He thinks Hanbit is a hacker and, like a toddler, threatens to report him. He warns he will tell the developers, but Hanbit honestly does not care. He earned his stats fairly, but the ranger has his own dirty tricks. The ranger dismisses this as childish bait, but Hanbit takes it quite differently. He takes it as a compliment, joking that he likes things young, but not that young. Truly an edgelord response. Meanwhile, the ranger realizes he is losing his grip. Staying here will only ruin his reputation further, so he turns to leave. Hanbit yells after him, telling him to play the game like a man. He warns him not to abuse his power like a corrupt sports official. The angry ranger storms off, ordering his team to keep running the quest. He tells them to ignore Hanbit's bluff, but Hanbit knows it is useless. All their efforts are entirely futile. Still, Hanbit feels bad for teacher Adable. She always wanted her students to succeed through honest, steady effort. He still remembers how agonizingly painful her lectures used to be. She was the mentor who taught him that magic is pure mathematics. Having seen many die from rushing, she refused to let him skip steps. He could not advance without perfect basics, even through 55 painful cycles. Naturally, he grew impatient. Imagine having to study calculus 55 times. Anyone would want a shortcut, but his strict teacher, Adable, actually kicked him out for trying to cheat. Her harsh principles remain unchanged. Her strict nature was perfectly preserved within the game system itself. Regression is digging his own grave, as his pestering ruins her favorability. As they walk away, Loper tells Hanbit that he was way too harsh on Ranger. They already have plenty of haters, but now their entire massive fan base will despise them. Hanbit just tells Loper he is rooting for him to defeat Regression and those angry fans. Like a great friend, Hanbit has started a massive war and immediately backed off, leaving his buddy to handle the mess. Either way, everyone loved seeing Regression get humbled. Soon the chaotic duo stumbles upon a small village, and Hanbit suggests stopping there. For a while, he needs to prepare a few things before seeking out Baldur's master. This guy just loves to delay things. As they stroll through the busy town, they come across a massive crowd gathered in the plaza. Hanbit wonders what all the fuss is. Knowing Hanbit has terrible situational awareness and a short attention span, Loper explains that the woman in green robes is Rafina, one of the rare spirit summoners. Meanwhile, Hillel, the guy who claimed Atibal earlier, is currently shouting that Rafina is his wife. Talk about being desperately down bad. It only took one tiny smile from her, and this hopeless guy is already begging her to take him in as her husband. Not that anyone is surprised. Meanwhile, Hanbit does not care about her at all. The only thing that actually excites him is his brutal internship, where his supervisor constantly screams and treats him like an unwanted middle child. Instead, he focuses on the rare spirit summoner detail. Apparently, only those handpicked by spirits can utilize them. Summoning drains an incredible amount of mana, and actually tracking down a spirit is extremely difficult. This contradicts what Hanbit knows, as he still clearly remembers the first time he established a deep connection with a spirit. Curious, he asks how strong Rafina really is. Loper reveals that she is ranked within the top 4,000 players, meaning she is powerful. Aside from her striking looks, her primary specialty is high-tier water magic. Since her spirit skills are capped at rank 3, she relies mostly on standard water spells. At this point, calling her a spirit summoner is basically just an honorary title. Meanwhile, the gathered crowd is begging her to show off her spirit. Loper asks Hanbit if he is interested in spirits too, and he definitely is. Still, spirits operate quite differently from magic. Even in this game world, birth traits apply to them. As she begins her summoning, Hanbit is quite surprised to learn that she actually benefited from that exact birth trait. Even more impressive is that she established bonds with both water and wind spirits in the span of just 6 months. That is way better than most average players who struggle to make any connection. When the two adorable spirits finally appear, that same weird guy wants them too. Honestly, someone seriously needs to step in and put an end to his creepiness. He is being a total clown, or as Santa might put it, a real piece of work. The entire crowd is completely captivated, including our favorite duo of main characters. When asked, Loper reveals she has been stuck at rank 3 for 10 months. Hanbit suspects that some hidden bottleneck, rather than simple proficiency, is the real issue. He then asks Loper if she is truly the top-ranked spirit summoner. Loper explains that she is, at least among the players who share their information. Since the elite rankers strictly hide their private builds, who can say for sure? With only one person allowed to clear and claim ownership, secrets are absolute power. Hanbit wonders what those top players are like and what hidden worlds they navigate. Strangely, players who establish bonds with spirits always feel incredibly familiar to him. But for now, they need to turn their focus back to their primary mission. So they head towards their next stop. Loper is hyped to see what Hanbit wants. But it turns out to be totally useless, like those Apple stickers you get in the box. Well, eye stickers rather, he just wants an eye charge. Seriously, never let Tim cook again. After walking a bit further, they finally arrive at the place where the wind gathers. The entire area looks like a massive entrance to something else. Loper hits the nail on the head, calling it an entrance to the afterlife. I mean, what even is this? A quest window pops up, explaining the rules. If they gain the acknowledgement of Boulder's master, they might earn a very what? Finish the sentence, developers. Anyway, their main goal is to find the Wind Swordsman. He is hiding deep inside the Edun forest. Meanwhile, the chat discusses the best approach. The viewers do not care about the quest, they just want to see these two jump. Jumping off the cliff sounds much more fun. They even offer a 10,001 reward. To jump to their deaths, that is. The bounty keeps rising, but Loper notices Hanbit's face. He quickly realizes there is a much bigger issue they need to address first. Hanbit actually wants to leap, before Loper can even try talking some sense into him. He grabs his buddy and leaps off the edge, the crazy things men do for cash. Loper immediately passes out. After a long, terrifying freefall, they spot a magic circle. Thankfully, Hanbit saves Loper from turning his bones into dust. While their death-defying stunt did bag lots of donations, there was a catch. The real reason he dragged Loper along is because you need an admission ticket to jump. He plans to keep this secret until those Regression guys fall at least 10,000 times. Hanbit is incredibly petty, and honestly we love him for it. Loper spots someone standing up top. That mysterious figure is actually Boulder's master, much to Loper's absolute delight. Now they just have to walk right up to him and the quest is over. Way too easy. Hanbit agrees and generously offers to let Loper go first so he can record the moment. Tears of pure emotion start welling up in young Lias' eyes. His brother is putting the stream before his own selfish gains. What a noble soul. Truly the spirit of a real streamer. Hanbit tells him to stop crying and just hurry. He even gives Lupia a little motivational shove. The excited guy starts running up the hill. But his excitement completely drains when a rogue arrow nearly pierces his head. Now he absolutely despises Hanbit for utterly betraying the trust of an innocent soul. Loper truly believed in him. Even the chat feels bad for the poor guy getting bullied. Still, they cannot wait for Hanbit to pull off another cruel prank like this. Hanbit then pulls out his bow and points it directly at his terrified friend. The chat begins saying their final goodbyes to Leah, thinking Hanbit wants the solo stream. But as Hanbit unleashes a few shots, a barrage of trap arrows is triggered. It turns out he knew there would be traps, so he cleared them with his bow. Clever play, but as they continue moving forward, the ground suddenly begins to shake. Talk about terrifying, an earthquake hitting while you are deep underground. Luckily, it is just a massive, 100-ton boulder, rolling with nowhere to run. But why even bother dodging when you possess insane blasting power like Hanbit does? He shatters the cavern floor, completely redirecting the giant rolling rock away from them. Meanwhile, a viewer mentions that the Regression Guild members are also attempting this quest. Except they keep falling to their deaths. Our duo, however, pushes on. While they march forward, the chat wonders if Hanbit's archery makes him part Mongolian. Talk about barbaric, but there is another problem now. They are completely out of arrows. All the more reason for Hanbit to show off his sword skills while staying alert. They keep moving forward. Spotting traps is only a secondary priority because Loper is focused on updating the stream. Keep the viewers updated. Meanwhile, the traps worsen as they approach their destination. Right then, Hanbit warns Loper to freeze. Fortunately, he stops just in time. Otherwise, arrows shooting from the ground would have hit some very uncomfortable places. Loper is amazed by his sixth sense. In reality, the explanation is simple. These exact traps were literally beaten into his head after failing so many times. Suddenly, another massive boulder drops from above, but Hanbit obliterates it just in time. He uses fire burst to shatter it. Loper is growing exhausted from all this walking. Even a golden retriever would get tired of this. Fortunately, Hanbit was not lying. He really has guided them to their final destination, right in front of them. The master of the boulders sits quietly, hair blowing around like some dramatic princess. Waiting to be saved, Loper's eyes sparkle because completing the quest is finally within reach. But the warrior bluntly tells them to leave, claiming there is absolutely nothing to offer them. Loper instantly starts tearing up. The chat is right, this guy has top-tier reactions. Even Hanbit gets a kick out of them, remembering the last time he was here. The guide who sent him back then was just a cold, emotionless bat. Still, Hanbit does not seem worried at all. He simply sits down and invites Loper to join him as they set up camp right next to her. Hanbit points out that he already passed the trial she set up. Turns out her name is Asla, and she is incredibly hostile towards strangers. Get too close without caution, and she will literally slice you in half. So Hanbit presents the sword emblem, along with a bottle of fine alcohol. During previous attempts, absolutely nothing worked, but back during his 10th regression cycle, he possessed her, a skill allowing him to absorb her memories and feelings. Through this, he mastered hundreds of her deadly combat moves. While also discovering how to win her trust, he rolls the bottle over. But she coldly claims that she no longer drinks. Naturally, he ignores her. Not only does he refuse to leave, he is actively trying to bribe her with alcohol. It feels like some cheesy fanfiction romance. He clearly has a different plan. Regardless, he challenges her to roll the bottle back if she really refuses. But her claim lacks any real weight, especially with empty bottles scattered around. It makes you wonder who is actually delivering alcohol to this deep cave. Hanbit points out she already had plenty, so he rolls another bottle over. He boasts that his selection is far superior to anything she has ever tasted. Slap proudly boasts that she has sampled every single alcohol in existence. She doubts a couple of random rookies could ever offer anything to satisfy her. Still, she agrees to a single sip, warning them to leave if it fails. She snatches up the bottle and takes a slow sip, tasting the brew. Fortunately, no weird chat members are around to say they wish to be that bottle. Just one sip is enough to completely hook her on the rich flavor. She instantly downs both of the bottles Hanbit offered in record time. It seems some people can handle deadly trials, but absolutely cannot take a joke. Ignore the haters in the comments. Some guys can handle dying in-game, but cannot take a joke. That drink was exactly what Hanbit wanted to buy in the city they saw ration. With a cute expression and breathtaking look, Elsa asks if there is more of it. Hanbit's plan succeeded. He hands over every bottle he bought, enough for any normal person. But of course, Elsa and Scottish people are exceptions. One of the desperate guys in chat wanted to share this romantic moment with Elsa. So he started drinking with her, choosing water instead of actual alcohol. Somehow he got drunk before Elsa, who admits the drink is actually pretty good. Even after all that, she is still sober. To all single moms, learn from Allah. Loper wonders how Hanbit knew the exact recipe that won over Allah's heart. Loper still cannot comprehend main character luck, so Hanbit tells him a little lie. He claims he worked part-time at a bar, which is actually a remote tribe. Meanwhile, Aslan notices the sword mark on one of the bottles, opening a conversation. Now they can finally talk. She asks what Baldur said, but Hanbit claims it was nothing. He says it was nothing. Unveiling the mark, she says she cannot help him. But Hanbit reads between the lines. There is a way, but nobody has succeeded. Sap praises his sharp observation. Still, Hanbit already knows the truth. The legendary swordsman of the night had many disciples, but they all failed. None could manifest her sword. Even her most promising star student failed. When Baldur failed too, she gave up and vanished. She warns him now. Inheriting her sword requires more than raw talent. It is not a simple matter. Just swinging a blade nicely does not make him worthy. Hanbit already knows why. She is talking about spirit affinity. Through his regressions, Hanbit learned the truth. Spirits are not controlled by talent alone. You must slowly build a bond with them. You have to accumulate affinity. Meeting Asa is key to bonding with them quickly. Asa suddenly blows a breath at Hanbit, using her spirits to read him. She uncovers exactly how he passed. She praises his skills and battle tactics. But she insists he is not the chosen one. She flat out tells him to leave. Right then, a system notification pops up. The quest to find Asla is complete. Now comes a linked quest to convince her. It is a multiple-choice scenario. This kind of hidden quest is exactly why viewers love watching this chaotic duo. Out of 3 options, Hanbit selects number 3. Her skill is secondary. He cares more about communicating with spirits. That is his main goal here. This decision completely blows Loper's mind. He cannot understand the crazy logic. Why would anyone choose the worst possible option? But what did he expect? The guy calls himself Black Dragon. Immediately, howling winds surround Hanbit. Flashing game animations signal that spirit communication has officially begun. His title, Chronicler of the 55th, grants him some unique buffs. Spirits never approach humans easily, which is why Hanbit needs this advantage. Even as players increase their bond, the exact level remains completely hidden. Hanbit wonders how developers designed these spirits. Will communication feel the same? Raising his hand, a system message alerts him that a wind spirit is curious. Still, a wind spirit is highly curious. Suddenly, a hand extends toward him. Hanbit stands frozen, staring at the entity. He cannot see a single thing. Yet the sensation at his fingertips feels incredibly familiar. It is time to prove himself. Asla warns him that this trial will not be easy. Suddenly, the system alerts. Suddenly, Hanbit senses that familiar spiritual energy, recognizing the presence right away. It is Sil, the spirit of wind. She answers his call with a highly amused smile. Shocked by Hanbit's high affinity, she decides to tag along, turning into a cute little bird. Hanbit has finally succeeded in summoning a spirit, earning the title Friend of the Spirits. Now all skills tied to spirit energy get a 20% boost. Since he now has this cute little bird, he qualifies to become Asela's official underling. With a smile, she agrees to train him. Meanwhile, that simp player returns, begging to be her servant for some highly questionable reasons. The hidden quest clears as she hands him a skill book, unlocking a massive list of sweet quest rewards. Hanbit opens the book, and a system window asks if he wants to learn the secret tome, trading away his basic physical skills to earn vastly superior upgraded versions. Think of it like modded Android apps. iOS users probably will not get that reference. Without hesitating, Hanbit instantly clicks yes. The screen vanishes, replaced by a new window displaying the epic rank he just unlocked. Naturally, his partner Loper and the stream viewers are once again blown away. Honestly, the author is being a bit too generous with this main character, but this divine generosity comes with a catch, and Hanbit knows it could mean trouble down the road. Suddenly, a wealthy viewer drops 200,000 won just to see a skill showcase. Hanbit draws his blade and activates his new movement skill first. Right away, so vanishes, and the heavy weight from his gear completely melts away. Telling Loper to back up, he raises his weapon and unleashes a swift swing. A razor-sharp wind slices a massive boulder ahead. This devastating active skill is easily rank 4 or higher. Once again, Loper and the stream chat play their parts by freaking out in absolute shock. Because it runs on spirit power, it requires 0 mana. However, he cannot spam it unless he is in areas where spirits gather. Sil returns to her cute bird form. Even the goddess is impressed by how fast Hanbit mastered the ability. However, she warns him that a dark, dangerous force capable of hurting spirits is lurking in the area. He must stay on high alert. As she retreats, the viewers beg for more lore. But while Hanbit clearly has a clue, he refuses to talk for free. He expects to get paid handsomely first. Right on cue, the donations start flooding in, crossing over 1 million won in under a minute. Hanbit plays hard to get. Suddenly, a streamer named Avantgarde drops another million won and requests a private chat with the rising star, Mr. Black Dragon. He is a massive creator. Next, a representative from Powerbridge drops 2 million won, introducing himself as a corporate executive. He wants to purchase all the details on this hidden skill. Naturally, the guys are losing their minds, completely ignoring poor Sil, who is getting squeezed. Soon, other companies start bidding over 3 million won at a time. Loper looks like he just won the lottery. Feeling overwhelmed by this insane situation, Hanbit suggests they make an exit first. Meanwhile, those ration guild players are still dropping like a failing student's report card. Loper wonders how much they made in that short run, with his parents recently divorced. At this moment, those viewers are also trying to uncover Hanbit and Loper's real identities to confront them in the real world. However, the situation is still under control. Most people are still respecting the unspoken rule of hidden identity streaming, keeping their real lives safe. But BT had a different plan. When he decided to show everyone how to get this skill, he wanted to lay the groundwork for his own future streams, just like he and Loper discussed at the cafe. Plus, he wanted to see if viewers would donate money to him in normal clothes. Besides, trading info would ruin the freedom of RP. Since everyone showed so much interest, Hanbit did not want to keep the secret exclusive to wealthy players. He decides to release it for free. Avantgarde tries to stop him, but Chad shuts him down instantly. Hanbit points out they can contact the channel owner, Loper, if they want to talk, but only if they use official business routes. He then promises to post all the hidden details on the community forum once he wraps up today's broadcast. Leah warns that greedy groups might monopolize the secrets just like before, but Hanbit and Sil are not worried. Leah wonders why he is so confident, especially after that Rashton and slime mess. That's because Isla, whom some people now call Ashura, will absolutely obliterate them. Besides, trying to monopolize spirits is impossible, because those beings despise shortcuts and deception, acting recklessly before spirit is like risky stock trading. It is going to cost you everything. The wealthy pair then heads back to Eden. Meanwhile, Kim Jo is getting destroyed by his manager at the office, just because he forced him to work 7 straight all-nighters. That does not excuse sloppy results. Then comes the useless team of 6 or 7 employees. What is the point of working overtime if the output is garbage? He is reminded of the massive financial losses they are suffering on this RP project. Joppo just stares at the floor, apologizing for his failure. Flashback time. 4 years ago, he was a highly motivated recruit who always gave 120%. 2 years later, he project team because it offered the greatest growth opportunities. Initially, the division generated massive profits. Then one day, Kim Joppo discovered a hidden quest while tracking dwarves. Excited by this breakthrough, he rushed to his manager to share the massive news. The manager was absolutely thrilled and flashed an evil grin, the kind of look that makes everyone else in the room extremely uncomfortable. Since the small company lacked serious funding, JLE suggested selling the information to another group first. However, pure greed took over. Mr. Forey, Manager Lee, used his expert brown-nosing skills to convince the CEO. He secured permission to assign every single employee to this quest to hit it big. Of course, Joppo also dreamed about how amazing it would be if they actually succeeded, but his confidence was shaky. He visited the location repeatedly, but his luck completely ran out. He never stumbled upon that hidden quest. Again, before long, other competitors entered the race. The industry giants crushed them using superior manpower and massive budgets. That is when Joppo realized the tragedy of working for a tiny developer with massive greed. 3 months later, the CEO halted the project and summoned the manager and Joppo into his private office. Stepping into the office, they immediately saw the fury in the CEO's eyes, signaling them to lock the door and brace themselves. The boss screamed furiously at the manager and Jaw, but the manager smoothly shifted all the blame onto JHO, offering a fake apology for not stopping him sooner. He claimed JHO was so confident that he simply had to believe in him. When JHO desperately tried to defend himself, the manager immediately silenced him. At this moment, Jaw deeply regretted ever finding that hidden quest, blaming himself for the disaster repeatedly. Back in the present, the manager had already finished spewing insults, so he asked if he had contacted that Black Dragon guy yet. Jell quickly handed over a report outlining his strategic plan to get in touch with him. Knowing it would be a tough job, he believed the ultimate way to make contact was through stream donations, but this proposal instantly triggered the manager like an angry boss being asked to walk 50 centimeters, especially since they aren't used to the metric system. 50 centimeters, for the record, translates to roughly 5 Big Macs in freedom units. The boss flatly refused to spend another cent on Zhao, even though other gaming corporations were using the exact same strategy to crush them, snatching the proposal. He was absolutely shocked to see Joppo planned to spend 1 million won on a single stream donation. He gave Joppo a harsh reality check about the mess he was in, ordering him to execute the plan without spending any actual cash. following a few more. Nasty insults, he stormed out. Japple stood there quietly, trying to convince himself that he must endure this brutal treatment for his family. Such is the life of a dedicated husband and father. Meanwhile, back in Edlin, a massive crowd had gathered, but this time, everyone was waiting to catch a glimpse of the Black Dragon. Lear was incredibly hyped, suggesting they dive straight into the main quest with that same high energy, but Hanbit argued that it was way too late, though Leah quickly pointed out it was only 2 a.m. In the morning, Hanbit reminded him that his soul-crushing day job started early in the morning, meaning they needed to log off immediately. Leah made a pathetic puppy face, begging for a little content for himself and his stream audience. Hanbit picked up on the hint, announcing that he would allocate his remaining stat points before logging off. Hanbit was already level 16, with 51 unassigned points. Amazingly, he had completed that entire hidden quest without using a single point. This left Lear and his stream chat completely dumbfounded yet again. Hanbit simply wanted to plan his build carefully, so he had delayed assigning them. Now, if he were Sunraku, he would have dumped every single point into agility and prayed to God that he could burst down the boss before getting hit. Go check out our Shangri-La Frontier video before Billy decides to crash this recap. Anyway, he put one single point into strength and unsheathed his sword to test the weight. Unlike his tedious 55 previous runs, he did not have to grind endlessly to reach his peak form. He loved this system. With these numbers, he could achieve his peak faster, or perhaps even scale entirely new heights of power, real power, not like some desperate content creator staging a fake fight against a retired champion. Shortly after, Hanbit and Lope arrived at a local training arena where Hanbit wanted to analyze exactly how each attribute affected his movement so he could optimize his character. Talk about being reincarnated as an absolute gaming nerd. As it turned out, distributing stat points evenly is incredibly rare in RPGs. Most players dump everything into a single stat to specialize, but Hanbit had actually read the complete quote on social media. A jack of all trades, master of none, is often far better than a master of just one. This only proved to him that a balanced build was this is definitely the right approach. Feeling the subtle changes, he dumps in more points. By balancing his stats evenly, he realizes that passing a certain threshold triggers a change in his physical appearance. Plus, he is actually broadcasting all the secret research. Now the master of one's group looks as foolish as folks who believe vaping is safer than smoking. Seriously, do not smoke if you care that much, and smoke a real cigarette if you do not care. Pick a lane. Hanbit has allocated his stat points since he is just a lonely, single, pillow-hugging shut-in. He does not need much stamina. The rest of his stats are raised to 20. Once charged, he gains even more buffs. Suddenly, Hanbit has changed the whole mechanics of the game. Chad has never witnessed stats like these or attacks unfolding like this. Lur is deeply confused because all stat skills are usually incredibly versatile, but they hit a low ceiling. Hanbit quickly corrects him that meeting the all-stat requirement is just the bare minimum for a spirit to take interest in any player. These conditions are strict, so the system is not broken. Even a total rookie could explain this better. Regardless, Loper, his low intelligence stat makes total sense. Surprisingly, he holds the Forest Explorer title. Pretty shocking for a guy slower in the original browser. This slow Internet Explorer is somehow a Forest Explorer. That was the classic built-in browser before Microsoft forced Edge onto everyone. Hanbit wonders why his total stats are only 45 despite being level 25, but Leo, with tears in his eyes and deeply offended, quickly clarifies that these are the stats of a normal player. Having 67 stats at level 16 is absurd. Hanbit tells the already frustrated crybaby that it is because he does not work hard enough. Lur finally understands how it feels to give everything to a company, pulling endless all-nighters and tolerating delayed paychecks only for human resources to get a raise because of the determination she shows the boss. While down on her knees, there is a 9-level gap, yet the difference in skill is like Max Verstappen competing against a blindfolded driver. Loper believes Hanbit messed up his stamina stat because 7 is way too low. Is it a tribute to CR7 or something? This game does not display physical health like other titles, so monsters might one-shot him. Hanbit just laughs it off, claiming he will simply dodge every single attack. At this point, Loper has given up on getting rage-baited anymore. With that, Hanbit says goodbye and logs out. Loper also bids farewell to his chat. Back in his room, Hanbit decides to wash away all the sweat with a hot shower. Afterward, he checks his phone and sees Loper's messages. His bank app is currently down, so he will transfer today's donations in 30 minutes, totaling 31 million. Hanbit wants them to split the money evenly since they are partners in this. He then lies down to sleep, only to remember his promise to reveal details about the hidden quest. To sign up, he must enter the device's unique account ID. Once the registration is done, he forces his last 2 brain cells to organize his thoughts and easily explain the quest details. He finally begins writing, and the scene shifts to the morning, where Hanbit is lying flat on his back so the artist doesn't have to draw any awkward morning anatomy. His phone begins ringing, and Leah gets chewed out by Hanbit for sending the wrong amount despite clear instructions to split it in half, but that is not what Leah wants to discuss right now. He tells Hanbit to look at the comments on his upload from last night. Here is the post. Hanbit wrote, it discusses swordsmanship, sparring matches, and of course, nobody has time to read all that. The top comments are about how confessing your feelings to a crush is way easier than this. Leah thinks Hanbit shared a bit too much info for a simple hint. This is basically a research paper. Even Loper needs to read it twice to see if it is even possible. He confesses that beating MJ in a smooth dancing battle, beating MJ in basketball, or beating MJ as the cringiest female lead is more realistic than clearing this quest. Still, he confirms all of this information is absolutely real. Hanbit replies that the post is true, making it highly likely for players to clear the quest. Still, he left a few details out because revealing everything would be awkward. He believes completing this quest is a matter of pure talent, and he posted it solely to help more people. Leah reminds him that there are many hidden masters in RP besides the Vanguard, with over 100 million players, more people than they imagine will succeed. Hanbit tries, but honestly he could not care less about it. Still, if more players succeed, his words carry much more weight as the real deal. He needs others to succeed to prove the value of his information. Leah then asks what happens if no one succeeds. Well, now Hanbit is struggling to act so carefree. If everyone fails, they will think Hanbit lied and brand him as a fake online course seller or a total fraud. Now he wants Leah to give him some fake assurances that someone will definitely make it. Leah, who caused this panic, tells him to stay patient. After all, the information has not even been online for 24 hours yet. It should take at least 2 to 3 weeks before player feedback starts rolling in. He also suggests using this post to gauge reactions as a reference for the future. Hanbit really appreciates Leah for being so reliable right now, but Leah clarifies that this is where his strength truly lies. Hanbit agrees to the idea. Additionally, Leah wants him to start live streaming. Hanbit feels it is still too early, but Leah argues it is the perfect moment since viewers will go crazy for absolutely anything he does right now. Hanbit thinks he should handle this himself while Leah manages the rest. The problem is he has no clue how to start a stream, so Leah sends him instructions and says he will be announcing on his channel that Hanbit is launching a separate stream starting today. Leah gets back to his quiet life while Hanbit goes to find his mom and proudly shows her the 20 million won he earned last night. It takes her a moment to count all those zeros and believe her son made this much overnight. Hanbit even shows her the video recording. She wonders why viewers would donate so much cash for nothing, but Hanbit explains he is selling valuable information just like merchandise. She then asks why he is showing her this, so Hanbit says he wanted to explain how he earned that sum is even larger than the 3 million that shocked her yesterday. He worries his mom will beat the crap out of him if he just sends her the cash outright, so explaining how he made it is much safer. She is happy, but looking at the ridiculous face her son is making, she asks what else he is hiding. Hanbit finally admits he plans to do a solo live stream today. Of course, Leah is going to help him. Mom wonders if this is a good idea, given how toxic the chat gets with all the swearing and F-bombs. Well, at least they are not using worse slurs. She then points to his thumbnail and asks if that game avatar is him because the resemblance is uncanny. Hanbit replies that only a mother could notice, trying to dodge her questions about his face being broadcasted all over the country, making an excuse about being late for his job. He quickly escapes. He still wonders why the goddess made his Game character look exactly like his real self. Mom also worries about his coworkers finding out, but Hanbit knows they do not have a single clue about his streaming side gig, as long as he behaves himself in public. His company will never find out. Besides, those overworked corporate zombies do not have the energy to watch streams anyway. Later at work, Hanbit is busy cleaning, highly questioning why an intern is being forced to do janitorial work. He does not remember signing up to be an office boy. Suddenly, Minyu calls him Black Dragon, and Hanbit instinctively turns around. That slip-up completely confirms Minyu's suspicions that Hanbit is indeed the streamer. Panic sets in. Hanbit intended to tell him eventually, but clearly, Minyu has way too much free time if he is watching live streams at work. Nervous, Hanbit asks if side hustling is strictly against the rules here. Minyu admits that the official company contract technically bans any outside employment, but since Hanbit is only a temporary intern, it should not matter. He just needs to keep it hidden from their obnoxious pink shirted boss. Right as Minyu turns to leave, Hanbit calls out to stop him, mentioning he has something to deliver. Minyu had asked for some crucial details about Game Gear recently, so Hanbit gathered all the critical data directly from his own equipment onto a USB drive. Minyu is absolutely stunned that he finished such a massive task so quickly, but Hanbit downplays the effort, explaining that collecting the data was actually quite easy for him. Deep down, he knows that staying on Minyu's good side is highly beneficial. It might secure him inside info on how the virtual world was built and what that mysterious developer is planning. Minyu gratefully accepts, admitting he has zero gaming experience himself. Hanbit then asks when he plans to analyze the data. Minyu mentions he wants to wrap it up this weekend, prompting Hanbit to immediately ask if he can tag along to help. That evening, he logs in, feeling a bit anxious about hosting his very first solo live stream. Following some clumsy, low IQ technical fumbling, he locates the broadcast button and goes live. Immediately, Leah's massive audience floods the chat. Hanbit introduces himself as Black Dragon, triggering an absolute storm of messages. He suddenly respects Leah a whole lot more for managing such rapid-fire chats. For the viewers asking where she is, Hanbit quickly reassures them that she will be logging on shortly. After only a couple of minutes, the concurrent viewer count explodes to 4,000. He quickly opens the system window to enable slow mode because the chat is moving way too fast. They want hints, so Hanbit he explains that sharing more details wouldn't matter anyway, since he already spilled the beans. That was way too much, so the next hint reveal gets delayed a bit. Meanwhile, other guys in the chat did not care about hints and wanted Hanbit to get on with the main story. Massive fight broke out among the viewers, prompting someone to suggest settling the dispute with a vote. They pointed out the voting feature in settings to Hanbit. He quickly set up a poll with two options, one for hints and the other against them. The vote was set for only 5 minutes. Just then, the stream's very own Happy Dog hopped on the stream to lower the chat's average IQ even more. Some were thrilled to see their dramatic host, while a few BL fans just wanted to get Leah and Hanbit in the same frame. Leah teased the chat, asking if they actually liked him despite all the teasing. His cute anime girl impression was so intense that most of the viewers were suffering. He went on to praise Hanbit for gaining so many viewers so fast, but Hanbit complained that the chat was moving too quickly to read. Liar explained that he just needed to read the room and connect with them. Since the poll was over, Hanbit asked Leah to reveal the results. Over 3,300 idle viewers voted in the poll, and a massive 83% voted to skip any more hints. Now it was finally time to jump into the main story. Leah had been waiting to start it for 25 chapters, even longer, because despite reaching level 25, he still had not touched the main quest. He wanted to experience it with Hanbit. That sweet comment made the BL fans want to run out for some cucumbers and baby oil. Following the standard route, the first episode would take roughly 2 weeks to complete. By standard route, Lopia simply meant following the popular walkthrough that almost every player relied on. The quest was to bring Brooke Norton to justice for framing his own brother. Bimba wondered if he should even bother with the guide, since his path had already strayed far from other players ever since the Atsubable quest. He could not get ahead of the competition by copying everyone else, so he chose to trust his own instincts and carve out a unique journey. Leah made Hanbit the party leader, showing absolute confidence in whatever path he chose. besides his own contribution too. The quest barely mattered, so he would focus on his specialty, getting roasted by the chat. They stepped inside the Adventurer Guild, triggering the main cutscene. Colossal tree rising from the middle of the ocean had a single sentence inscribed. Beneath it, no, it was not about 111 missiles being launched. Instead, it read, "Whoever discovers the mysterious entity known as airport shall earn the ultimate right to face the truth." The ancestors were convinced this declaration was indeed the creator's true desire. Fueled by obligation, they sought out the peace. It was a burden they would pass down to all future generations. Even the generation that giggles at 67 would have to fulfill this duty. Hearing this brought Honda's trauma rushing back, making his eyes look like he had watched Violet Evergarden on repeat. The journey to discover it began anew. Call it the 56th cycle. The first step to uncovering the secrets of Edund was to track down a guy named Neil and talk to him, a reward for basic human interaction. It was not like the game was forcing them to debate with flat earthers or orange fish supporters, offering rewards to compensate for severe torture. As it turned out, Neil was actually a girl. They finally approached her only for just ignore them like God ignored single people during creation. Either way, Mr. Tour is back. With those obsessive wife comments, just like this guy can't decide who actually to call his wife, the neighbors can't even tell who the real father of Mr. Tuner is since they all overlapped. Now Guidebook Nim donates a 10,001 point, some to warn everyone she'll act like this during the conversation. Hanbit has actually been left on read by her in the past, so he knows exactly how to play this. He asks the cat-eared baddie if that perfume belongs to her. With an attitude matching her sharp looks, she replies that it does. She expects some sweet compliments, but Hanbit bluntly tells her that the scent is far too plain for a hottie like her. Mio pauses her makeup and waits for Hanbit to finish his sentence before she absolutely destroys him. However, Hanbit has no intention of rage baiting her. Instead, he wants to offer a perfume that genuinely suits her, but Mio is unimpressed. Tons of guys have tried hitting on her before, but nobody ever succeeded. Tad and Lee are once again positive that Mr. Black Dragon is indeed the ultimate edgelord, because what kind of lame pickup line was that? A better approach would be walking up to her and asking if she wants a stud, then joke that he already has an STD so she's all he needs, or maybe ask her, "Are you an American school?" because he wants to shoot some kids inside her. Unfortunately, he is being wrongly labeled as a simp because he actually brought something she might find fascinating. It is a rare-grade firefly flower that enchants wind fragrance. This unique item can only be obtained with help from a spirit. He approaches Mio again, claiming he does not know much about cosmetics, so he asks for her expertise in making a perfume, since he found its scent quite lovely. Her heart skips a beat the moment she smells the flower. All suddenly, you and I realize those cat ears are not her only feline attribute. She instantly demands that Hanbit hand over the flower. Nobody has ever seen her react like this. The guys finally have her full attention. Even Lope loves the sweet fragrance and asks where he found it. As always, Hanbit is going to lie, right? Surprisingly, he admits he found it in the cave last night. Just as they prepare to leave, the system blocks Hanbit from moving due to Sill's interference. A cute little bird flies off, guiding him right to this rare flower which no player has encountered since the ancient Heian era. He wonders if he should give it to her. She's already going wild watching him casually shaking the stem and risking its delicate petals. She agrees to speak with him as long as the plant is safe. She then reveals that Edlin is a vital port city inside the Raven Kingdom. Finding this port is the ultimate goal, but motivations vary massively based on which faction is chasing it. The hardliners view the port as an enemy. The moderates want open dialogue with them. Thirdly, the Holy Kingdom worships the port. These three are the main factions. There is also a United Nations group closely watching everything unfold. If anyone attempts to disrupt the peace, they will step in to monitor events much closer. At worst, they will simply condemn those actions. Fortunately, Hanbit already knows that Raven belongs to the hardliners. The kingdom is. The guild is preparing. He's helping build a league of the world's absolute strongest fighters. Only the elite are gathered, and candidates must pass brutal tests. Through brutal trials just to get in, any nation producing a member will gain massive global prestige and countless perks. In real-world terms, It is like joining the big legs, becoming a nuclear-armed nation. Basically, Hanbit needs to prove his worth to get in, by taking on quests until top-ranking officials finally notice him and scout him like Messi from Rosario while she explains the mission. Her eyes are glued to that gorgeous, glowing firefly flower. She does not care about any black dragon. A system window pops up confirming his first main quest is complete. Now he must prove himself. With progress at 1%, he must pick quests from the board behind. Leah suggests that hunting monsters is the smartest way to start. But Hanbit completely rejects taking the standard, boring approach. To get noticed quickly, he needs something massive, scanning the room he finds. A quest to clear a new dungeon that just appeared near Edlin. The difficulty of this mission ranges anywhere from A to F. That means they either absolutely ace it or fail miserably. This daring choice could. It might cost him his life, but at least he will be remembered for his steel nerves. Mio insists he cannot take this quest, but even after his many attempts to convince her, she flat out refuses to let them take it. As the guild keeper, she has seen too many arrogant rookies fail. They bite off more than they can chew and end up paying the price. It always leaves a bad taste in her mouth, though she rarely cares. About weaklings, her real concern is the stress causing wrinkles on her face. She refuses to let Hanbit ruin her skin. Permission is strictly denied. Hanbit waves the beautiful flower right in front of her, saying he really wanted to gift it to her, but now she will have to wait. She snaps back, reminding him the deal was to hand it over after they talked. Now she knows how $10 an hour workers feel after getting scammed into buying fake insurance for their families, only to realize they were tricked by some scammer who spends their cash on greasy street food. Hanbit keeps teasingly waving the flower to force a quick decision. She even lunges to grab it, but Hanbit flares his aura and makes a solid point. If he were just a weak rookie, he could never obtain such a rare flower. She assumes he got lucky, bought it, or stole it outright. But in the end, Hanbit wins the debate and secures the dangerous quest. He hands her the flower, and the young guide is completely stunned because she only expected a few loose petals. She is incredibly grateful since she has wanted this rare bloom forever. She warns them to run if things get too dangerous. As they head out, Loper asks Hanbit if he actually read the guide. Hanbit nods, explaining that their goal is to expose the massive corruption hidden inside the local market. First, they must earn the guild master's trust. Normal monster hunting is faster, especially since game time ticks in real time. Once the main quest begins, moving too slowly will only lead to disaster, missing crucial events, but Hanbit reassures him that these exact reasons are why he accepted the dungeon request. It will get them in the guild master's good graces quickly, while allowing him to progress along his own unique route. His strategy will be a highly valuable commodity. If he succeeds, he can kill two birds with one stone. Since Syl is currently a bird, no bird slander will be tolerated here. Loper then mentions that the Vanguard is already on episode 8. Hanbit plans to catch up fast, despite calling him an edgelord. His confidence makes the chat doubt themselves. Maybe he can actually pull it off. It is clear that Hanbit is favored by the author, unlike Gojo Satoru, who got booted because he allegedly cucked his very own creator Jeej. While being optimistic is great, Lupia reminds Hanbit that those Vanguard players poured their souls into this game for 2 long years to reach that point. Plus, Hanbit has a real-world job, so it might take him much longer. Still, Hanbit asks about the location where episode 8 takes place. Loper reveals it is Pyria, an island on the western side of the central continent. Furthermore, the competition out there is so intense that barely any information has leaked, but the island's name gives Hanbit a hint as to where those top Vanguard players are likely struggling. Regardless, Hanbit says to ignore everything else and focus on episode 1, which they need to clear as fast as possible. But while Lupia searches for an easy dungeon, Loper gets an urgent call from his father and quickly logs out. Hanbit decides to push forward alone for now and invite Loper back. Later, the chat starts debating which dungeon to run next, with someone suggesting a challenge dungeon top 10 mission. Hanbit finds himself intrigued by this challenge system. Only players level 30 and under can enter this Edlin dungeon. However, the 10th place cutoff is roughly 20 minutes, making the top 10 seem entirely impossible. He asks his chat where the dungeon is, and upon seeing the coordinates, his smirk confirms what most have already guessed by Now he knows this map perfectly. Hanbit baits the chat into thinking that he can easily enter the top 10 if he genuinely tries. Lucifer suggests a penalty if he fails. A penalty seems fair, provided there is an equally sweet reward. If he succeeds, Lucifer instantly bets a 1,000,001 challenge if he enters the top 10. In exchange for this reward, Hanbit offers a suitable penalty, promising a deeply detailed follow-up to his last strategy guide, but the chat unanimously agrees that is a terrible idea. It is like struggling with basic algebra only to have advanced calculus thrown at them, so Hanbit proposes a raffle to pick one lucky viewer and give them some direct assistance with their quest. With that settled, he heads off to the dungeon. After walking a while, Hanbit arrives at the gates, doing his absolute best to engage with his chat along the way. To his surprise, a massive crowd is already waiting to watch Black Dragon in action. Word spreads here faster than a cat hearing its food bowl fill. He feels quite nervous facing this sudden, unofficial fan meetup. Just then, Loper pushes through the dense crowd to reach him and immediately starts giving him a he gets an earful for letting the stream chat manipulate him so easily. He accepted a ridiculous quest and agreed to an even worse penalty. Hanbit has no idea why everyone is so worried. It is just a quick little mission he needs to clear. Right now, Loper is completely unable to separate overconfidence from pure stupidity. Loper tries to smack some reality into the guy, warning him not to be so reckless, especially with massive gaming corporations watching. But Hanbit calmly reassures his friend that he does not deal in maybes, he only does absolutes. There is no need to stress out before even giving the challenge a shot. He then points at the leaderboard. The top 3 spots are held by level 30 players, with first finishing in under 19.5 minutes. Meanwhile, Hanbit is only at half the recommended entry level while competing against hardcore speedrunners. Hanbit gets that, but he is not sweating it at all. He has already survived absolute hell. Nothing could be worse than that crazy bat making him relive his traumatic memories 55 times over. Suddenly, he asks about the first place rewards. Loper explains that the winner gets a cut of the total dungeon entry fees collected every week. It is basically a steady stream of passive income. Hanbit realizes he could even sell a guide on winning to boost his profits further, even if it is just in-game currency. Cash is cash, no matter where it comes from. Loper, however, looks completely drained, as if the legendary Dragon Road had squeezed him dry for a week. Hanbit considers renegotiating with the viewers. He agrees, turning back to the stream to announce that the deal has officially changed. Landing a spot in the top 10 is no longer the goal. He is aiming straight for first place. It seems someone is already drunk on money he has not even earned yet. Meanwhile, Lapia looks completely crushed. Just like that, a greedy kid sacrifices his best friend's sanity for passive income. Beyond Loper's horror, Hanbit is drawing some serious attention from the idle players gathering outside. They only showed up to watch, but now they are dying to see this cocky rookie get crushed. Top 10 was possible with pure luck, but he just threw that away. Now he is chasing a record that has stood untouched for an entire year. Of course, Hanbit does not give a single care about their doubts, since challenges are strictly solo runs. Loper decides to watch and cheer him on through the stream. Hanbit steps up, paying the 500 gold entry fee while calculating the massive fortune Kim Hanyo must have raked in over the past year. Now he is ready to start. When asked, Loper mentions that several elite Vanguard players held top 10 spots in the early days, but they cared more about main quests than shaving off seconds on their runs. The third-place speedrunner Odin is actually a Vanguard. He secured that rank on his very first attempt, joining them 6 months later. From the chat's reaction, Odin is clearly an absolute prodigy in this game. Hanbit wonders why he never tried to claim the top spot, perhaps because 0.1 seconds is a massive gap to close at this level. Of course, Hanbit is still fully set on securing that crown. He is going to give it everything he has got. Loper halts him right at the entrance, suggesting he should at least check the guide if he is serious about first place. Since it is an old dungeon, plenty of walkthroughs exist. The most important the golden rule is to ignore the subquest, or he won't even rank in the top 10. This extra mission requires rescuing an NPC girl named Fona while clearing the dungeon. The player must keep her unharmed, though rumor says the sacrifice is massive. Even if they complete it, there is absolutely zero benefit in wasting time. The rewards are so terrible that players whisper Floa is just a fake NPC. She is actually a trap designed to waste time, but reverse psychology works wonders. Hearing how useless the quest is only makes him want to rescue her. Still, Looper warns that escorting her safely will take a full hour. This means he would essentially guarantee himself first place from the very bottom. Honestly, that is not a bad scenario for our walnut-brained main character. His failure would boost stream viewership, but Loper tries to talk sense into him. Yet, Hanbit can only focus on how terribly FA is being treated. He is completely shocked that nobody else sees her as a major turning point. Believing Fona is key, Hanbit assures Loper there is no need to worry. He promises everything is fine and finally steps inside the dungeon portal. For someone in a rush, he wasted way too much time arguing. Loper cheers. As Hanbit steps through, 500 gold is immediately deducted as the timer starts. Hanbit summons Sulf, draws his sword, and begins charging forward. He activates a skill that boosts his speed and enhances physical stats. Meanwhile, Loper casually pulls a pair of headphones from his inventory. He sets up a commentary booth as Hanbit nears a spike trap. Instead of slowing down like everyone wants, he decides to go faster. Charging at full speed, he aims to clear the massive hazard ahead. He leaps over the spike zone, but the distance is too wide to clear. Knowing this, he uses a downward wind slash to bounce off the spikes. With that clever trick, he easily sails right over the entire trap. He dodges danger like girls dodge your DMs, making the chat take notice. Suddenly, most viewers actually think Hanbit might secure a spot in the top 10. One by one, he easily bypasses every obstacle and pushes deeper inside. With incredible agility and sword skills, Hanbit is proving completely untouchable. He encounters another set of spikes, but this time they hang upside down. He slides effortlessly underneath them, finally reaching the point where the path splits. This is where the road divides, and where he expects to locate Floa. Sure enough, she is sitting all alone, crying. Loper had no idea. She is just a frightened child, and even the chat feels for her. Hanbit walks over to introduce himself, and Flona responds. The girl explains her friend is sick, which is why she left home. She wanted to find medicinal herbs, but ran into terrifying monsters instead. After running away, she got lost. Hanbit knows abandoning her is wrong. Leaving a child who risked her life for a friend would end badly. Watching outside, Lipio is practically crying for this sweet little princess. He begs Hanit to abandon the run and just focus on saving her. Most viewers agree, judging other players who heartlessly passed her by. They want this innocent kid saved. Naturally, Hanit does not disappoint. He gently offers his hand, promising they will escape this dungeon together. Part is that she has no money to pay for his help, but Hanbit assures her that cash is unnecessary, since he is Ria's friend, helping her is only natural. The chat immediately wonders why he suddenly brought up Ria's name. Out of nowhere, Flona's face suddenly brightens up, and she still wants to give him a flower as a thank you. Hanbit promises to take it once they safely escape. Meanwhile, Lupia is weeping because she told Hanbit to ignore this sweet, kind child. Suddenly, a new quest pops up to protect Flona and safely escape the dungeon. The rewards are 500 experience points. And a red herb, this task has no time limit, but is main. Mission is quickly ticking away. A donor named I Am Floa sends 555 to warn Hanbit that 8 minutes have already flown by. That leaves him with less than 11.5 minutes to finish, but he feels that is more than enough time. He scoops up Flona to give her the royal princess treatment. She deserves, sprinting straight toward the dungeon final boss. By now, Lupia has cried enough tears to end a drought. Seriously, stop, he is saving her now, even though his chat keeps reminding him of what he said. Before this run began, the player fully realizes that dodging every single trap while carrying her is impossible, so he must simply power his way through. Using sheer brute force, he warns Flona that he is shifting gears right now. He is not just destroying the traps, but also the very path he runs through. The audience is absolutely loving this legendary run. At this rate, they believe he will clear it within an hour, but they do not realize he is still aiming for first place. Next, armed goblins block his way, so he tells Flona to close her eyes because things are about to get a little bloody. Monsters are shredded with a rapid slash. This last survivor tries to land a sneak attack, only to meet an even more brutal end than the rest. The Donations flood in as everyone wonders how he knew about that incoming sneak attack. What they do not know is this is his 56th attempt at this. Anyone would look like a pro after failing 55 times. Now they reach the maze. He warns Eflona to hold on tight so she does not fall during his crazy stunt. Lupia does not understand. Without any floor detection in this maze, he will just slip off, but he is not bouncing off the walls. He is using the wind. He blitzes the maze in record time and now faces a pack of goblin warriors and archers. He does not have the luxury of letting them prepare and charge up an attack. He strikes first to wipe them out completely. And dash forward, some goblins are sliced, some are crushed, and others are getting absolutely vaporized. We do not know about Gordon Ramsay, but this guy is seriously cooking. He has already completed 70% of the quest. Unfortunately, the timer has already hit 17 minutes and 30 seconds. To make matters worse, more goblins swarm him after hearing the loud explosion. He slices them in a single swing and dashes forward. It has already been 18 minutes, so Lupia is feeling as tense as a football fan during a final. Let's check out the knockout rounds, where matches felt like Gojo versus Sukuna. Now Hanbit was up against the goblin gatekeepers, but it took him just 2 seconds to finish them off. 18 minutes and 10 seconds have passed, and Hanbit now stands before the dungeon boss. He tells Floa to wait a moment while he handles those green cheeks. The boss is a level 30 elder goblin, rattling off standard NPC dialogue. He was programmed to repeat, "It has been a minute and 10 seconds, and this ugly creature is still rambling on about how he is going to win." Hanbit cannot afford to waste time, launching his attack before the dialogue even finishes. He fully intends to end the battle with a single blow. 19 minutes and 22 seconds in, and the shield cracks. 19 minutes, 23 seconds. It shatters, and his blade slices right into the goblin's green skull. At 19 minutes and 24 seconds, the goblin is split. Hanbit has actually finished the quest in record time, claiming first place. Look at all the rewards he secured in just 19 minutes and 24 seconds. Outside, the chat goes wild over how the Black Dragon actually pulled it off. He did not just finish first, he did it while carrying Floa. Hanbit strikes a victory pose as the system announces his first place rank. Upon completion, he is thrilled to receive over 10 million won in prize cash. That is an amount an intern like him could only dream of, including the donations. He is practically rich enough to buy his own country. At least he is working for it, unlike that guy from our other videos who sees body counts and gets paid every second because of a lazy author who cannot write anything decent with a brain that small. Meanwhile, Loper is still crying. Over there, though, they are tears of joy this time around. He tells Floa the great news that she can come out since the scary monster vanished. She was terrified initially, but a gentle green breeze warmly wraps around her. That must be Sylph, so Hanbit coaxes her out to introduce the two. Floa is absolutely thrilled to meet a green bird as cute as she is. Even the chat was not prepared for such a wholesome moment. The other players deeply regret abandoning this pure soul during their runs. Time to open that glowing treasure chest. Friarin would never leave a loot chest untouched for this long. She would have been eaten by a mimic already. He pops the lid and is nearly blinded by the radiant light within. Inside the container are two precious jewels. One is a rank 3 unique class earth essence, while the other is a rank 3 epic class spirit stone. These elite items make Loper leap with excitement. Even Hanbit is caught off guard. This essence of earth is clearly a rare find, but he has absolutely no clue about the spirit stone. He asks the chat, but they just flame him, believing this Black Dragon is simply trying to flex on them. That single stone is worth over 30 million won. Hanbit's smug face suggests he is just playing dumb to tease his viewers. Meanwhile, the crowd outside has grown even larger. After witnessing his success, everyone else wants to try. Hanbit is thrilled by the fierce competition, knowing he will collect 500 gold from each of them once they fail. With 3 days left until Monday, his weekend payout is going to be massive. Floa then expresses her gratitude and hands him the flower as promised. After taking the red herb, a new linked quest triggers for Hanbit. He must head back to the Adventurers Guild with Floa to unlock the next subquest. Hanbit finally arrives in Edund, meeting up with Lopia, who introduces himself to Floa. Chat wants Hanbit to tell Floa about how Leah wanted him left in the dungeon to suffer more, but for some reason, Eflona is already terrified. Strangers immediately hiding behind Hanbit, giving Chat the exact same humiliation they wanted Lopia to face. Hanbit assures her that Lopia is actually a good guy, totally understanding why a slum kid would feel so intimidated in such a big city. They are always treated like outcasts. Lopia definitely didn't expect Hanbit to be such a reliable, genuine guy, especially since he usually bullies him a lot. He wonders if he is just acting nice for the sake of the quest. Since there is no way he is actually nice, Hanbit won't entertain this offensive insult to his beautiful personality, so he shoves Lopia inside the guild lobby. Since they have finally arrived, a cutscene begins, playing where we see Ria begging Mal to register a quest to find her missing friend. She promises to secure the reward later, but Mal needs to confirm the payout before registering it. She cannot violate guild policy since she is not the guild master. Ria begs to see the guild master, but he is currently away. Mal suggests asking the adventurers directly if it is so urgent. Ria looks around only to find worthless drunken trash everywhere. Even Adibel is out of town right now and cannot help her with this crisis. Just then, a blue-haired man tells Mal that he wants to submit a quest, so she hands him the paperwork to fill out first. Ria asks if there are any other adventurers around, but Mal completely shuts her down, stating she's going back to fixing her makeup and wants to be left alone. With no other choice, Ria approaches some rough adventurers, including one loud guy barking about the nobility. His companion warns him to shut up before someone overhears and has him arrested. Ria nervously steps forward and explains she wants to submit a rescue quest for her companion who vanished into the deep woods. She promises to scrape together whatever reward they demand if they go look for her right now, but the men get angry at her for wasting their valuable time without cash on hand. They cruelly mock her for being a foolish slum girl. Ria tries to explain the extreme urgency, but the man cuts her off, claiming he does not sense any true desperation from her. He argues that since she has no gold, she needs to use other means. Ria nervously asks what he means, and the thug slams a dagger down in front of her, telling her to point it at a noble. The man continues to torment Ria, explaining that she does not have to actually stab anyone, just pointing the weapon is enough. They want to frighten a noble and promise to shrug it off as a harmless, childish prank. He claims she won't face any real punishment, though his partner warns that the consequences could actually be much harsher. Simply because she is a slum dweller, they laugh mockingly at her distress. It is not like she will get the death penalty, but even if she did, the thug sneers that he could not care less. Ria is absolutely seething with rage. Yet she swallows her anger. Saving Floa is her absolute top priority right now. She agrees to their terms provided they help. With trembling hands, she reaches out to take the blade. Suddenly, a hand stops her, reminding her that she is not the type of person to sink this low. The scene ended as Fa turned to see Hanbit returning with Floa. She immediately hugged the girl, relieved to see her completely safe. Then Floa revealed that Hanbit was the hero who rescued her. Meanwhile, that trashy duo got up to leave. Hanbit gave them an icy death stare, fully prepared to delete these NPCs from the game if they ever dared try this again. Then Hanbit offered to walk the girls home, while Ria kept scolding Floa for entering the dangerous forest alone. Fa barely even heard her because that lightning-fast adventurer was burned into her memory. Still, Ria kept lecturing Floa, warning her to ask her directly if she needed herbs and to never pull a stunt like this again. At least she was back home safe and unhurt, which was all that really mattered now. After Ria said goodbye, Floa thanked Hanbit once more. As Hanbit warned her not to worry Ria like that again, he caught a faint thank you coming from nearby. He looked around, assuming it had to be the wind. Instead, it was Ria, looking incredibly embarrassed just for showing some basic decency. He couldn't believe Miss Arrogant actually thanked him. She quickly ran off with Floa, and a system notification popped up to announce the quest was complete. A new sub-quest appeared, telling him to wait for their next meeting with Ria, who wouldn't forget his kindness. Meanwhile, his stream chat was already missing Eflona. Then Hanbit met up with Leah, who looked incredibly busy. Hanbit decided to sneak up and scare the absolute life out of him. Loper complained that some crazy player had just run a dungeon race and smashed the high score, even though they were only half the previous winner's level. Because of that, furious fanboys were swarming them. Hanbit thanked him for the hard work and suggested he log out to get some rest. He was going to do the exact same thing, but the stream chat was absolutely furious about this. They wanted him to keep broadcasting. Hanbit wondered what kind of bone to throw to those hungry dogs so he could escape, but as you and I know, he decided that though he won the bet, he would still host the promised one on one coaching session. As a mock punishment, it would be an hour-long session, making the chat incredibly hyped. Everyone wanted to be chosen, and donations began flooding in since the winner would be drawn from donors, not freebies. After all, why waste time on broke players? Leah quickly activated the raffle feature, and there were just under 6,000 participants. The lucky draw began, and the winner turned out to be Kim Jiria, the punching bag from that small company we've seen before. Yep. It was that exact guy who almost yelled his heart out. Loper asked Mr. Kim if he was in the stream, warning him to respond to their message within 30 seconds, and they would meet up in Edund. If he wasn't online, they would redraw right away. Instantly, Kim Jiria messaged that he was there. He quickly grabbed his gear to log in. Fortunately, his donation didn't end up going down the drain, and he could actually make a profit now. He tried to stay calm as he logged in. A very nervous Kim Ya hesitantly approached Hanbit to introduce himself as Kim Ya from the Tidal Trading Company. Immediately, the stream chat mocked him for sounding like he was proposing to his childhood crush, yet he still showed immense Chad mocks Kim, who is expressing deep gratitude for this amazing opportunity. Ya claims he talks like a corporate email. Hanbit asks what Jackie wants to learn. Meanwhile, Lopia finds herself thinking that the name Tao sounds incredibly familiar. Jia says he is happy to learn whatever Hanbit chooses to teach him. With that settled, they decide today's training lesson will focus entirely on swordsmanship. Hanbit can teach magic, but to Jackia, magic is like women, he knows absolutely nothing. Because of this, Hanbit decides they should find a much better place for sword practice. After walking for a short while, the group finally arrives outside Adibel's store. Loper has zero clue why they are here, but Hanbit enters and calls out for Adibel. She snaps that she is incredibly busy, so he should state his business and vanish. Hearing this, Hanbit politely asks if they should just come back later when she's free. She turns around and realizes this is not some random customer at all. It is the Black Dragon. Chad immediately thanks God for this amazing blessing. He then thanks Hanbit for blessing their eyes by wearing such a beautiful apron. That little 2-inch menace is losing his mind, but let's ignore him for now. Hanbit asks if she has seen Rhea around, but she explains she just got back. She wonders if Rhea caused trouble again, making Hanbit search for her. But he quickly reassures her that nothing of the sort has actually happened. Instead, he asks if they can use her backyard for some quick sword training. Since he couldn't find a good spot, she warns him it is pretty cramped. There are boxes everywhere, but she tells him he is free to use the space. Hanbit thanks her and heads to the backyard with his happy, awkward crew. Since Abetin already knows swordsmanship, Hanbit wants him to show his skills. He asks him to draw his sword and share his level, which is 52. And yet he is still sweating bullets from pure nervousness. Hanbit is quite impressed. Chapping claims that such a high level is hardly impressive because he has been playing since launch. Shaq can tell there is some rude manager forcing Purun to play. Still, Hanbit tries to comfort him. He tells him that his vast experience easily makes up for any lack of skill. Now Hanbit wants to put the theory from his strategy guide into actual practice. Untik wholeheartedly agrees, even though he is holding his sword in a bizarre way. Seriously, what is up with this stance? It looks like some ancient, lost technique. Behold, Kim Yi-up is proudly presenting his legendary, constipated battle stance. A viewer makes a new account, named Mr. Shame of Swordsman, and donates cash. Begging Unsif to stop insulting swords, Hanbit then asks if swords are his main weapon. Unsurprisingly, they are not. Ya actually prefers to wield a massive warhammer. Next, Hanbit explains exactly why he chose this tiny backyard for their training. He wants to minimize movement, since precise control is key for any weapon. Hanbit smoothly takes his stance and warns Ya to be fully prepared. Shaking off his doubts, Ya fully commits to the intense training session. But his eyes fail him as Hanbit suddenly vanishes, instantly placing a blade to his neck. If this were a real fight, Ya would already be heading to the graveyard. His tombstone would read, "Died with absolutely zero skills and zero companions." Hanbit explains that the boss Baldur scales to the challenger's own stats, meaning the one Ya faces will be incredibly fast. Ya nods, ready to continue. They go again. This time, Hanbit announces a downward slash from the right. Jod manages to block it, but he is slower than Hanbit expected. Just then Rhea walks past the door to greet Adosel and notices them. Hanbit is rather confused to see him here, but he still spots her out of the side of his eye and decides to speed up. But wait, why is he trying so hard to impress her? What exactly are Lude's intentions? It turns out that he wants to change the course of this episode. Remember that sub-quest he received? Well, he needs to get Rhea's attention. That part makes total sense, but someone should have some mercy on the poor uncle fighting for his life, a grown man getting bullied like a helpless kid. After 50 minutes of pure torture, Jiha drops his sword and gives up. He has not blocked a single blow since the very first exchange. A player who has been playing for 2 years gets humiliated by someone who just started a couple of days ago. Hanbit cluelessly asks if he is doing okay, as if he did not just destroy him. Poor uncle did not even get a break. There are still 10 minutes left. The uncle refuses to keep taking this beating. He bends down and picks up his weapon to begin a desperate redemption arc. He is not letting this hour end without gaining a single thing. He asks Hanbit if he can use a hammer. Hanbit agrees, knowing a familiar weapon is better for learning. As he brings out his massive hammer, he politely asks Hanbit if they can skip the training and jump straight into a real duel. The uncle is finally locked in. Hanbit is stunned, and the chat is absolutely losing it. Prepare for a salaryman's legendary rage. Hanbit agrees, but just as they are starting, Loper interrupts to warn them that normal duels carry penalties, requiring a mutual duel mode instead. Even the chat had completely forgotten about those brutal penalties. Thankfully, Rhea is here to keep things in check. Jiha agrees and sends Hanbit a duel request, which he accepts instantly. If Jiha's sword stance looked funny, just look at this new stance. It looks incredibly ridiculous. Apparently, Hanbit is enjoying this weirdness because he loves unique players. Suddenly, the battle begins. Jiha charges in with a Thor-like smash right away. You have to admire his incredible raw strength. Thankfully, Hanbit manages to dodge the heavy blow in time. Otherwise, that hit would have ended his 56th run. Hanbit notes that hammers are extremely powerful but way too slow. A deadly strike is useless if it fails to land. While speaking, Hanbit already has his blade at Jiha's throat, yet the stubborn uncle insists on doing things his way, striking again only to fail. He claims he only needs one hit, but he has said that since puberty without ever actually landing one. Once more, he unleashes everything. He knows his moves are sluggish, so he plans to compensate by using the massive range of his weapon. Unleashing a giant strike, the entire arena gets dusty from the sheer impact. Still, even this is not enough to catch Hanbit. After all, he is the main character here. Gently placing his blade on Jiha's neck, Hanbit announces that their time is officially up. Extremely professional and highly punctual, Hanbit wonders if fighting is really the path Jiha should stick to. Meanwhile, Jiha wonders if anything would have changed even if his attacks had connected. Receiving critical feedback after a brutal hour-long beating is incredibly depressing. Even so, Hanbit genuinely believes that Jiha should explore the many alternative paths this game offers outside of combat. Just then, Jiha reveals his true class is a blacksmith. What a shocking confession from a guy who was just trying to defeat the top player in the game. Talk about a terrible reset. Maybe Jade actually enjoys public humiliation. Meanwhile, Leah and Chad are trying to embarrass Hanbit for going so hard on a mere blacksmith. Hanbit admits he used extra power. Once he heard JBO was a veteran player, Jiha thinks it's fine, since he expected his own level to give him an advantage, but now he realizes they are worlds apart. Suddenly, a viewer named Speedwagon stops by to reveal that Tile Trading was the first company to uncover the secret method to get the dwarven metallurgy skill. However, they failed as miserably at keeping it as that piece merchant orange fish. Leah remembers the massive drama because the community was so loud back then. He asks Loper if he got the quest, but Loper reveals only a related achievement was ever found while the actual quest vanished. He asks Ya about searching for that legendary dwarven metallurgy. Blushing hard, Ya admits he was the original finder, which actually makes him a massive loser since he couldn't trigger the quest despite being first. He knows this incredibly valuable skill comes with insane requirements, but with the original Discover standing right there, he refuses to let this golden chance slip away. He Shoots Auntie a friend request, but never expected such a wild, Alopia level. Reaction: honestly, nobody can tell if he is thrilled, angry, or just a JoJo fan. Joby is thrilled to finally walk away with a win instead of total embarrassment. From this painful hour-long session, while Joby thanks him, Hanbit glances back to check if Rhea saw him. Instead, a terrifying figure stands by the door. It is Atsuble, ready to humble these cocky rookies. She warned them to watch out, yet her own backyard is messier than Julio's prison antics. Hamd quickly apologizes for Jabel, promising that his friend will cover every single cent of the repair costs. Meanwhile, townspeople are gossiping about Brooke, whose mayoral leadership has dragged everything straight to ruin. They sorely miss the days under Mayor William, calling Brooke completely incompetent. Meanwhile, Ya, Hanbit, and Lee reach tavern called Dondu in the Eden Market District. Lear has never spotted this place while Ya is only returning after 2 long years. He overhears citizens protesting Brooke, wishing to escape to a powerful empire like the Holy Kingdom. Someone points out that while speech is free, their safety afterward is not guaranteed. Just then, Gustav Muhammad asks Ya what nickname he should call him since Kim Ya sounds real. He is already used to it because of his old company work, so it doesn't matter. Chad calls him crazy for sharing his real name and risking his privacy on a public gaming platform. He reads the chat while keeping his face identical to his real life. He then asks Ya about his big discovery. Ya reveals it wasn't the achievement he discovered first, but a physical item. A flashback reveals Bro hiking through the deep snow searching for loot. The item bore the exact same inscription as the achievement itself. Loper asks if he can see it, since Yunga treasures the object. He keeps it on him at all times. Reaching into his pocket, he pulls out what they expect to be some legendary artifact, but it's just a rusty dog tag, just another underwhelming reveal, exactly as one would expect by now. Hamd recognized that old man's pendant instantly. He definitely did not expect to see it here. He asked to examine it closer, so Ya handed it over. The dog tag felt incredibly familiar, with those same words burned deep into his memory. He was 100% sure this item was his ticket to mastering dwarven metallurgy. Hebit asked where he discovered it, and Zhao explained he found it high up the snowy mountains north of Ifrit. He knew that location well, with its rich ore veins and mine entrances. Ya had no clue how Hanbit knew, but Leah, who had shared Jihan's excitement so many times recently, boasted about how the legendary Black Dragon knew everything, having the strategy guide completely memorized. Jihan was struggling to believe this guy, but he could not argue after being utterly humiliated for taking an hour. Helmet then asked if there was something he had missed since he completely failed to unlock the quest. Not just his guild, but countless other top teams tried everything and failed. He figured they must have overlooked some hidden requirements since entire gaming companies were searching. Jihan's guild found absolutely nothing except this unique item that only he owned. That made sense to Hemet, since dwarven metallurgy could only be secured by the very first discoverer. He thought it over and suggested traveling together for a while. Jihan gave a perfectly stunned reaction. Imagine winning the lottery, landing on his friends list, and joining the team. He knew this was a massive win-win situation, with tears of victory in his eyes. Jihan declared his determination to do his absolute best. Imagine a grown man crying over video game. Hemet sent him a party invite, asking if he had cleared the Elden expansion. Since it was the main campaign, Jihan had finished it ages ago. He would have loved to play along, but he was content simply watching them play from his cozy spot in the corner. Soon, the three said their goodbyes, locked in their new party, and logged out. Jihan was practically crying himself to sleep with joy, feeling like the goddess of fortune was finally smiling down on him. He might even land that big promotion. The next morning, Hebit headed out and caught a bus. Even though it was the weekend, commuting so early still felt like heading off to work. He was finally adapting to corporate life. Why? Because he had started loathing his company from the very bottom of his soul. Meanwhile, 2 guys sitting behind him were chatting about that epic dungeon speedrun they watched live yesterday. Yes, they were discussing that crazy boss raid from yesterday. It had taken those other players over an hour, but the Black Dragon cleared it in under 20 minutes. While carrying Floa, by now the name Black Dragon actually sounded incredibly cool to them. What used to be cringe was now a legendary title. Their conversation then Shifted to Kim's reaction, the poor guy who got completely overtaken by Hanit. They figured he was probably crying his eyes out over losing his year-long gold. Mine, by the way, 50,000 active players had already attempted the challenge. After reading his guide, that was 25 million gold in earnings for Kim Hin. It wouldn't be surprising if he became openly hostile toward Han, not that he could actually do anything about it now, though. He finally arrived at his destination. With the help of online maps, he located Gumong Villa and headed inside to uncover the secrets of that gear every RPG player owned. Planet rang the doorbell, making a strange. The silence makes him wonder if the bell is broken, just like his love life. Just as he goes to knock, the door creaks open to reveal a zombie-like figure. The guy stares Hanbit down. It is Minyu, complaining that he arrived a bit too early. He lets Hanbit inside, who immediately asks if Minyu has been awake this entire night. It turns out Minyu found something bizarre that kept him up all night long. First, he offers a quick apology for his tiny, cluttered apartment being so cramped. Second, he mentions disassembling the components of a level 1 piece of gear. He still cannot wrap his head around how this technology is so far advanced. But putting that aside, a specific chip is what really caught his attention. He could not seem to separate that strangely patterned component right at its center. Hanbit takes a closer look and spots a tiny golden sphere inside the device. Minyu tells him to zoom in, revealing a peculiar pattern. Suddenly, something clicks. Hanbit immediately asks Minyu if he discovered anything else that felt out of place. Apparently, the program from the Research and Development Department looks incredibly suspicious. It is the exact tool Hanbit used to collect information in the game. As it turns out, the framework was created directly by RP Games developers. It is almost like they wanted people to dig up their secrets. More importantly, Minyu analyzed the code using the data Hanbit brought him. He kept noticing the exact same design repeating itself throughout the source code. This design never showed up in data from other departments. Hanbit recognizes it instantly. These are the very letters from the other world. They are not even hiding it. Hanbit feeds him the same lie he usually tells Lopia about the symbols. He claims the design resembles a unique writing system from a fantasy story. He says a writer he liked invented it, and he can crack the code. The word concealed within the strange coding is Edlin. By the next morning, Hanbit starts his live stream early because of the upcoming weekend crowd. He plans to stream much longer today. Despite starting early, his chat is packed. He already has 31,000 viewers, and his top fan, Lupia, arrives too. Hanbit assumed the guy would be busy, but he showed up anyway. Lupia immediately pulls his signature move, crying happy tears over the viewer count. He gets overly emotional, saying it feels like just yesterday he was helping Hanbit. He talks about carrying him, and now the channel has 30,000 viewers. Technically, it literally was yesterday, since this is only his second day streaming. Hanbit shoves the crying fan aside and expresses his gratitude to the audience. He gets right back into the main quest, ready for some action. Right as they head to the Adventurers Guild, Rhea calls out to him. He originally went to the backyard to trigger her second side quest. Luckily, it worked. He figured things had been a bit awkward between them. She never really had a proper chance to repay him for his help. She hesitantly asks him to listen, but being a total lone wolf. He bluntly tells her he is too busy. Rhea instantly loses her cool. Because she can see he is doing absolutely nothing, she grabs his arm and drags him away forcefully. This is the classic fiery Rhea. Everyone loves her attitude, now that she is pulling him along. Hanbit asks her to let go, but she is worried he will just bolt if she does. He reminds her that running away is Rhea's specialty, which she can't even deny. Rhea and the group finally arrive at Flo's doorstep, hoping to find her. Rhea knocks repeatedly, but there's no answer. Deciding not to wait, she opens the door. The house is completely empty. Floa is gone, and Rhea's anxiety starts to skyrocket. Hem tells her to stay calm, suggesting Floa might have just gone out to shop. But Rhea knows that's unlikely, since Floa was busy preparing a feast for them. Rhea immediately fears the worst, firmly believing that someone has kidnapped her helpless friend. Leah wonders where this quest is heading, while Rhea is busy listing potential suspects. Hem argues that it is way too early to assume there was a kidnapping. If someone took her, the house would be in much worse shape than this. Still, she begs Hanbit to help search for Floa before it's too late. In the middle of their panic, a sudden loud noise echoes from outside. It is Floa rushing back to the house. Rhea runs out to demand answers. Completely out of breath, Fauna gasps out a warning about a cat named Ruby. That's Rhea's cat, Fauna points, and explains that the pet ran off that way. Rhea tells her to stay behind while she searches. As Floa frets, Hem tries comforting her. He assures her that everything will be fine, but this only makes her weep. This instantly earns Hanbit a reputation as a terrible guy who makes little girls cry. Knowing simple words won't work to stop her tears, the guy brings out Syl. As the cute little bird tries to comfort Floa, Hem translates its chirps. He claims Syl wants her to cheer up, so Ruby won't feel bad upon returning. Floa instantly believes the bird's message and finally wipes away her tears. Once she is calm, she asks Hem if Ruby will make it back safely. He gently pats her head, promising to join the search if it makes her feel better. Floa eagerly accepts. He tells Syl to watch over her and heads off to search. With that, side quest 2 is unlocked. The objective is to catch up with Rhea. They must find her lost cat, which will ultimately unlock side quest 3. Meanwhile, Rhea is searching everywhere. She knows cats can find the most impossible hiding spots. It is like finding a pet hidden inside a microwave or somewhere equally absurd. Hem sneaks up behind Rhea to let her know he is here to assist. However, his social skills need work. He ends up startling the poor girl. She gets so frightened she basically acts like a cat, leaping straight onto the roof. She angrily scolds him for leaving Floa, but he explains that Syl is on guard. Rhea insists she can handle this simple job alone and tells him to go back. That seems like a pretty bold claim, considering she still hasn't found Ruby. She ignores his attitude. He then claims to know where the pet is. It is the sewers. Being a total tsundere, she snaps at him for not speaking sooner. Meanwhile, Hanbit point-blank fails to remember her actually asking him. She immediately charges toward the sewers, while Hem tells Lopia they are following. Now, Lopia has actually been down there once, after wandering in by mistake. The place is massive and smells absolutely terrible. He has no desire to return. But Hem is already on the move. Soon, they are deep in the muck. Lupia loudly questions the game developer's choice to include such a realistic, awful stench. He asks Hanbit if he is sure the cat is down here of all places. Hem easily sees through Lupia's desperate attempts to escape the smelly mission. Even though the guidebook covers this place, almost everyone avoids it. Probably because there is only a tiny note buried in the corner of a page. Most gamers would not even know it exists unless they are hardcore fans. A viewer in the chat thinks these broke degenerates should try classy roleplay instead. It sounds more elegant. Just then, a user named Mr. Explainer donates 5,000 coins to reveal details about the sewer system built by Erdler. But before he can share anything, Hanbit cuts him off, spotting Rhea. She stands there looking totally lost because Ruby's tracks suddenly end right here. Now she is about to search the surrounding area, but he stops her. He points toward a gap in the wall, suggesting Ruby went inside. Rhea is baffled. How could a little pet squeeze through there? He tells her. Lapia to step back before unleashing a massive fire blast, shattering the wall. Rhea is absolutely stunned by his reckless disregard for public property. However, Helmet figures they will not get punished if they keep quiet. With that, they venture into the dark, hidden passage to search for Ruby. Rhea initially refuses to follow. He chalks it up to a rebellious phase. She eventually follows them anyway, but as she steps through the secret entrance, her amulet begins glowing like a bald man's head under the summer sun. The glowing necklace suddenly detaches, hitting the floor and transforming into a ring. Rhea is trembling. What on earth just happened? A deep dread washes over her. As she reaches down to retrieve the ring, suddenly a cold breeze sweeps by. It is the wind spirit Syl, venting her anger. He notices Rhea is crying and asks her what is wrong. Rhea whispers that she has a bad premonition, fearing that something terrible is coming. Meanwhile, the live chat wonders why Syl is here when she was supposed to be guarding the entrance. Regardless, he decides to press forward. Rhea desperately grabs his sleeve, begging him not to go. She says Floa and Adebel would be completely devastated. She quickly adds that only those two would care, definitely not her. He smiles and promises he will be fine, but Rhea points out that those are always the famous last words of doomed side characters. It is classic death flag dialogue. He tells her to look ahead, though. Because the wind spirit has already located Ruby, Rhea is thrilled she is safe. However, something is off. There is a strange item tied to her paw. The poor creature is struggling to shake it loose. He carefully removes it, unfolding a paper slip stamped with the Holy Kingdom emblem. Instantly, a system notification appears. The second subquest is complete, and the next objective begins. They must uncover why Ruby had this emblem. The immediate task is to report the clue. He instructs Ria to return to Lona with the pet, promising her that he is not doing anything dangerous. He is just delivering the report. Ria quickly runs off while he heads out to finish the quest. Soon, they arrive at the Adventure Guild to find Mal, who is totally spaced out. She expected them back soon to change quests. They really should have stuck to simple herb gathering, but he tells her the mission is already completed, offering the paper as proof. Meanwhile, the stream chat is completely losing its mind over what just happened. Miel knows viewers. People might think she is a brainless beauty, but she is not fooled. But the moment she spots a spirit necklace from a high-ranked dungeon, she realizes that Hemd actually managed to pull off the absolute impossible. She pinches his cheeks to make sure he is not some ghost. Chad is loving her reaction, saying her system has crashed. He then presents the Holy Kingdom flag, telling her to show it to the guild master, who is upstairs. Chad thinks this guy is moving way too fast to meet the boss this early, plus some guy has an issue with him crossing his arms. Imagine that being your biggest daily issue. That guy is living too easy. Meanwhile, her brain is still lagging. But she is finally functional. She tells him he cannot just summon the guild master like a pet cat named called Kashmiri. He knows it is a crazy request, so he instantly drops the subject and switches to a totally different topic, offering her another rare Lendi flower. He claims it is not a bribe, but a simple thank you. She tries to resist, but he keeps waving the fragrant bloom right under her nose. She finally accepts the token, claiming her change of heart has nothing to do with the flower. She agrees to present the emblem to the guild master and set up a meeting. Meanwhile, Hanbit asks Leah if the others can even see him, since he is completely left out. Leah explains that he is purposely staying in the background, so the viewers can focus on Hanbit. He contributes absolutely nothing. Yet it is the smartest move. When Hanbit asks, he explains that zero effort means zero loot, though he still gets quest credit. He genuinely enjoys sitting back and watching the chaos unfold around him. Besides, his edited videos have been pulling in massive views lately. Before he can keep yapping, the chat tells him to shut his mouth. Leah sums it up nicely, stating that Hebit's rising fame benefits them both. Right on cue, Neil calls out to Hebit and introduces him to the guild master, who turns out to be an absolute beast. The massive man asks Hebit if he was the one summoning him. An awkward silence falls as Heb thinks about how long it has been since he last saw Cowan, and that grin proves he genuinely respects him. Neil breaks the silence, explaining that Cowan must personally evaluate Hebit's rank, since it is far beyond her pay grade. The giant leader pulls out a registration card and instructs Hebit to place his hand on it. He is now an official guild adventurer, and all of his future achievements will be recorded right here. With that, he gives Hebit his ranked evaluation. This completely shocks the chat, who assumed he would get a failing F rank. Even Meal is completely stunned, because the evaluation process has never been bypassed like this. Cowan explains every rule has its exceptions, and she needs to accept that obvious fact. Our protagonist can't exactly act like a cold, heartless beauty to the guildmaster, especially with two viewers in chat who claim him as their virtual wife, watching their beloved waifu drool over this absolute giga-chad. Cowan then asks Hanbit about the emblem in his office. He tells the giant boss that he discovered it down in the sewers. Guildmaster Cowan then reveals that this fabric is actually used for the battle uniforms of the Holy Kingdom. This could only mean the Holy Kingdom has already infiltrated the city of Edund. Hanbit explains that this is the exact reason he sought him out, though he has no interest in protecting the entire city like Cowan does. He still has a baddie, a tsundere, and a kid too. Safeguard curious, Cowan asks who exactly he is trying to defend, so Hanbit deliberately drops their names, and Cowan's entire expression shifts the moment he hears Ria's name. Hanbit quickly shifts the focus, pointing out that they simply cannot ignore this threat. Cowan agrees, knowing they must first verify the enemy's presence, so he assigns Hanbit a mission to scout the underground waterway and report back if he spots anything suspicious. Since this has to remain quiet, it is a completely unofficial quest. Hanbit accepts immediately and a virtual system window pops up with some rewards for clearing Subquest 3. Meanwhile, his main questline has officially been reset. His third major objective is to earn Cowan's trust by securing proof of the hostile infiltration. The main scenario progression is currently at 28%, which deeply shocks Lupia. As they exit the guild hall, Loper tells Hanbit to wait a second because he has to absolutely destroy the toilet like Spain did to France. Meanwhile, while Looper takes his sweet time logging back in, Hanbit scrolls through his live chat. They wonder why he is still using a cheap beginner sword and not something truly lethal like your crush's rejection. Still, Hanbit fully intends to upgrade his weapon once he cashes out his first dungeon paycheck, but right then, an ambush hits him from behind. Hanbit barely manages to block the strike, making the assassin think he is just some weak player who is easily dealt with. Hanbit asks the creepy masked thug who he is, but he currently has bigger problems. Facing a massive gap in raw stats, he cannot hold his ground forever. Still, he lets the masked idiot believe he has the upper hand, waiting for the perfect moment to slip past his guard. Ripping off the mask, he fires a blast right into his opponent's face. Guess the guy won't need that ugly mask anymore. Now that his face is toasted, the burn attacker recoils and Hanbit demands his name once more. Unfortunately, with his cheap sword already chipped and damaged, he cannot risk another direct clash. Right on cue, a throwing star flies at him. He dodges just in time, but the projectile is clearly coated in deadly poison. There's a second assassin in the shadows, sporting a face even uglier than Lupia's. Terrible morning breath. Our sweet Hanbit is not built to fight two guys at once. By the way, the swordsman who attacked first is named Cutter, while his partner, whose face alone makes you want to swear like a sailor, is named Trigger. There is a strange glowing skull icon next to their usernames, and their names are blood red. They are active player killers, and a viewer donates $5 grand to reveal that players with red marks are criminals, meaning hunting them down carries 0 penalty. Meanwhile, these killers cannot trade and face brutal system debuffs. The higher their kill count goes, but the enemy guild also brought some eye candy. In a third assailant, who suddenly lunges at Hanbit from his blind spot, hoping she tried landing a hit before the others, but failed just as miserably as they did. This particular villain goes by the name of Shabber, and she is absolutely stunned. A mere level 20 easily dodged her attack, but another surprise was waiting. His shirt is incredibly tight. Trigger warns her not to underestimate Hanbit as ordinary. He is no basic player. Even Trigger sounds brilliant compared to this woman. Hanbit summons Sylph and points his blade right at these thugs, demanding answers. Both Hanbit and Sylph are clearly losing patience with their terrible attitude. Trigger tries to play it cool, claiming they are just fans stopping by to say hello. They claim they were nearby on business, but their actual work is much darker. They are basically here to handle dirty cleanups, acting like illegal trash collectors. Once the spirit Syl joins the mocking, Trigger snaps and tries to retaliate. He mockingly promises to limit his ninja star strikes to only 50 hits. Hanbit sarcastically appreciates the discount, calling it 10 times less than what his mother took. After delivering that massive roast, Hanbit quietly pulls up his character's status window. He pumps his points directly into agility, knowing a one-on-one fight gives him hope. Since they struck first, using his weapon will be counted as self-defense. He briefly blocks his stream camera, much to the annoyance of his viewers. The chat is absolutely furious. Like you and me, they want to see the action. Hanbit lunges directly at his #1 fan, unleashing a close-range fire blast. He then fakes a retreat, baiting his primary target to chase after him alone. Sure enough, the guy rushes forward blindly, acting like an obedient little dog. Hanbit unleashes another explosion, but Trigger thinks these simple tactics are getting boring. He claims he can track Hanbit just by sensing vibrations in the air. He declares that hiding is useless and starts throwing ninja stars everywhere. He aims his attacks directly at the spot where he assumes Hanbit is hiding. The fool has no idea that Hanbit is actually perched high on a rooftop. He is calmly gathering aura while making his opponent look absolutely ridiculous. By blending wind magic with dust, he completely tricked the clueless assassin. While his target keeps fighting empty dust, Hanbit prepares to eliminate the other 2 enemies first. As the guy in the ridiculous costume searches blindly, Hanbit prepares his ambush. As you and I can see, our hero drops down right on top of him. "We should have rushed him," are his last words before his story ends. With one swift slash, Trigger is permanently removed from the picture. Hanbit instantly gains 5,000 experience points, which seems rather odd. Normally, a player kill does not reward such a massive amount of experience. To make matters worse, Hanbit's cheap weapon breaks right after the fight. He opens his interface to turn the livestream back on for his fans. He asks his chat about the experience reward, wondering if it is some glitch. Seeing him completely unharmed after the clash makes them think he is the bug. A viewer named PK Patrol donates 5,000 points and explains the system mechanics. They reveal that hunting active player killers is a very common farming strategy. Hanbit finds it incredibly twisted that people hunt other players for sport. It is quite hilarious hearing him call anyone else a monster. Suddenly, Cutter and his partner arrive, shocked to find their ally defeated. Calling him a clown who couldn't even outlast a virgin, Hanbit is displeased at. Seeing the corpses of the dead, after all, he wanted to finish them one by. First, how he takes them down depends entirely on the enemy's gender. They tracked him because he went live. Now, this 2-on-1 fight is on him. You know how it goes when the villains start bullying a helpless target. That is exactly when the overpowered protagonist steps in to save the day. He rescues the victim, just like Lapia showing up to save his princess, Hanbit. The chaotic 2-on-2 brawl quickly splits up into two separate 1-on-1 duels. The villainous targets Lapia first to sweep away the trash and get the main dish. Cutter wants to deal with Hanbit himself, so he readily agrees to the split. Lapia is ready to be completely merciless. He has no fear, only trembling legs because of his footwork. Others might think he is shaking from fear, but that is just his routine. That is his exact preparation before he finally decides to unleash the beast inside. Right when the villains are about to trash two innocents, it is the perfect cue. The perfect moment for Kim Ya to arrive, making it a 2-on-1 against the villainess. Meanwhile, Cutter is left in a 1-on-1 duel, assuming nobody else crashes the party. Hanbit urges his allies to hold out, while Cutter smugly questions his opponent's chances. He wonders how Hanbit expects to win when he does not even have a weapon. But Hanbit points out that a real warrior is never truly left empty-handed. He looks down, no, not at that. He means the sword dropped on the ground. It belonged to Trigger. Cutter warns him about the brutal stat penalty for using it. You cannot just wield a high-rank weapon without meeting the minimum stat requirements. Hanbit picks it up anyway, claiming he has to try. This rank 3 blade is incredibly heavy. It is a massive burden, and Cutter instantly marks Hanbit as an absolute fool. Imagine picking a slow, heavy weapon in a high-speed duel. The chat is already bored. They think he only started player killing because nobody would listen to his endless yapping. They just want him to shut up. Meanwhile, Hanbit wonders if he can handle it. He mastered this exact sword during those 55 loops, but this cycle is different. It is his first time wielding it this turn. Suddenly, a brand new effect unlocks. His 55th recorder title triggers. First, his past skill masteries will recover rapidly. He can quickly max out any abilities he acquired during those past lifetimes. Furthermore, his combat performance scales up alongside his accumulated experience, boosting spirit power. His spiritual energy rises sharply. Better yet, he bypasses all weapon stat restrictions. He no longer needs to meet the high attribute requirements for old skills. The skills are weaker until his level catches up, but the gap is tiny. There is one last locked perk. The hint just says non-player character. Perhaps it refers to a former boss, or maybe we will meet a new ally. Regardless, Hanbit can wield this blade against Cutter, who really should be named Chatter. He continues to babble, but we will skip his monologue like terms and conditions. As it turns out, the loudmouth is strong, sending Hanbit flying with one block. His allies look incredibly worried, but the girl with the prominent horns interrupts them. She coldly reminds them that she is the actual threat they should worry about. As their fight starts, the focus shifts back to the mid-air clash of swords. The Chatterbox is shockingly fast, effortlessly evading every single strike thrown his way. Before his opponent can even recover from a swing, the next blow arrives. Realizing that his target is struggling just to keep up, Cutter presses on. One Chatter is already launching his next strike, seeing Hanbit trying to match him. Trying to cast some spirit magic, he charges forward, only to get baited into a fiery explosion. That is the price of a loud mouth and 0 brains, but Chowder uses magic steel to escape the blast completely unharmed, before casually praising the effort, even offering another chance to surrender, but Hanbit thinks that Cutter needs to throw his own mother into the deal for him to even. Consider it, actually scratch that. Hanbit just wants his opponent to talk. Less and fight more. As their blades clash, Chat realizes this talkative guy can swing his hands just as fast as he runs his mouth. They wonder if Hanbit is suffering from a weapon penalty. He is just too good to tell. Either way, Chatter mocks him, claiming it takes everything Hanbit has just to defend. If this continues, Hanbit will never land a single blow. Smirking, Hanbit fires back that is exactly what his mother used to say. He lunges at Cheddar to land a blow, but his opponent blocks it and calls his attempts futile, countering with a phantom skill that should decide the battle. What Hanbit sees before him is just an afterimage. Cheddar is actually right behind him, preparing to strike. Somehow, with the help of God, the game developers and the author, Hanbit blocks it. Cheddar is forced to change his approach, now wanting to completely blow Hanbit away along with his weapon, but he might not get that chance because Hanbit is already unleashing a spirit attack to lower the enemy's accuracy. Trigger leaps all over the place like a fugitive escaping the law. Hanbit hurls his sword forward, but Trigger easily dodges the weapon. That blade was just a distraction. Now Hanbit is as close to Trigger as OT fans are to a breakdown. He snatches Trigger's arm and slams him into the ground with maximum force. Even after taking solid damage, Trigger quickly gets back up. Hanbit rushes straight at him with nothing but pure guts and no weapon. Right as he enters striking distance, Trigger attempts to sneak in a sudden blow, but Hanbit's insane reflexes allow him to block it. In fact, every single attack Trigger throws his way is currently getting blocked or dodged. Still, Trigger feels he has nothing to fear because his opponent is unarmed. Little does he know that thrown sword is now flying back like Thor's trusty hammer returning to its master. Hanbit harnesses that returning momentum to pour all his power into a single devastating strike. This finally forces Chatter to shut his mouth because every ounce of his energy must go into defending. Unable to hold it any longer, he deflects the blow, but loses a dagger to Hanbit, who happily promises to keep it, since this is a soulbound weapon. He should not be able to wield it, yet he can, covered in a green glow, leading Chatter to suspect that Syl must have played a part in this. Though clueless about the details, he refuses to retreat as his aura flares purple, unleashing a rank 4 smoke ability. Even while concealed, he still cannot land a hit since Hanbit keeps anticipating every single incoming strike. In truth, it is not prediction. The opponent's bloodlust is just too obvious. Activating a skill and truly mastering it are two entirely different things. No one can blame Chatter, though, as mastery is not easily achieved. Within a year or two, ultimately, Chatter is nothing but a cheap copy. Using his own blade, Hanbit drives it into his shoulder, pinning him against the wall. At this stage, Hanbit appears far more seasoned as a player-killer than Chatter. Hanbit dismisses this, claiming that he is just an ordinary guy from around the block. While gasping for his final breaths, Chatter asks Hanbit if he knows the absolute best thing about these games. It is that the pain he feels from being stabbed and even having his own arm ripped off is entirely fake. It is not real.